Browns taking the chin.
At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the San Francisco Giants. Friday Night Baseball is presented by Jeep. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jeep, now celebrating its 75th anniversary. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. By New York Lottery, take a break from the expected, play scratch-off games from the New York Lottery. By Toyota, visit your local Toyota dealer and test drive the all-new RAV4 Hybrid today. Toyota, let's go places. And by Bob's Discount Furniture, shop in-store or online at mybobs.com. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling with you. Keith Hernandez will join us in just a moment as the Mets begin a three-game series against the San Francisco Giants. Good news in the Mets lineup tonight. Yoenis Cespedes back in the lineup. His last start was a week ago in Atlanta with the bruise on his thigh. In the interim, hit a big three-run homer to help the Mets win a game as a pinch hitter. Now the Giants come to town. The Mets have won 6 straight games, but this is a big-time team. Their pitching, which they've been known for, maybe not as good as in past years, but their offense has been superb.
Well, first, their pitching. They spent $220 million this offseason on Jeff Samardzija and Johnny Cueto. They've done all right so far. Cueto much better, but you're talking about their offense. 5-1 in their last 6 games. Batting average around 360, on base around 450, led by Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence is just really starting to get hot, and when he gets hot, he really is the foundation of this team ever since he was traded over here from Houston. 8
legitimate hitters in that lineup, including the former Met Angel Pagan, who's done a fine job hitting in the 9-hole for Bruce Bochy so far this year. For the Mets tonight, it's Steven Matz, who has really been able to shake off the effects of that first start of the year against Miami. He's been really good his last 2 times.
Well, I give him a complete mulligan for that first start. He had 10 days off. He was not sharp, but he's come back, and against the Atlanta Braves, he was probably the best he's been. 8 strikeouts, went right after hitters. The key for Steven is always his control. When his control is fine, his stuff always plays.
On the other side for the Padres is the veteran right-hander, or for the Giants is the veteran right-hander, the former Padre, Jake Peavy, who has had 3 not-so-good starts and then a pretty good one his last time out.
It was almost 9 years ago when he won the Cy Young for the Padres. He is certainly not the gunslinger he once was, but he is still tough as nails, and he's coming off his best start in his last one.
That was in Atlanta. Peavy will try and build on that tonight as the Giants come to town for their only visit of the year. Mets and Giants for the first of 3. All the action coming your way tonight on SNY. SNY is brought to you by Nationwide. Nationwide is on your side. Speak with James Finaro in Bethpage or Stephen Principe in East Meadow today. By Cadillac. Visit tristatecadillac.com for exceptional offers. And by Affinity Health Plan, serving the healthcare needs of New Yorkers for more than 30 years. Follow Mets baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Closed captioning for Mets baseball brought to you by Sideline. Now time for a look at the Quicken Loans Rocket Arms. Mets are 3rd in the major leagues in strikeouts so far this season, but that 194, that has obliterated the franchise record that was 169 strikeouts through the first 20 games of a Mets season. That was back in 1990 when a guy named Darling pitched on the staff. Now it's Matz and company. Steven makes his 4th start of the year. He's responsible for 18 of those strikeouts. He'll try and rack up a few more tonight against the Giants. First pitch coming up. A close-up view of Steven Matz. Well, that really gives you an idea of just how quickly that ball gets on top of you.
Yeah, and he's not really rushing it up there 100% either.
Oh, hi, Keith.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for joining us, Froggy.
I don't feel well.
You don't sound well.
Every year I get this bronchial thing. You know that.
Denard Span leads off against Matt's first pitch of the night. A fastball in for a strike. There's your Hyundai starting lineup for the Giants. With Buster Posey at a day off Wednesday, so he's had 2 straight days to get ready for the Mets. He's sitting in the cleanup spot. Span hits the comebacker. Matz has it, and that's the first out of the night.
Matz, good athlete, jumped all over that. Land Rover stats as Matz is going to start this game in the rain. Those 3 starts, he gave up 7 earned runs in his first inning and 2/3. After that, only 2 earned runs in his last 19 1/3.
Well, the weather forecast was that it was supposed to start raining lightly about 7:15. It arrived about 5 minutes early.
You guys have this down to a science, you weather people.
Fairly precise.
Yes.
Here's the St. John's product, Joe Panic. And he takes a fastball for a strike. The Giants have got some left-hand hitters who've hit lefties awfully well. Panik, one of them. He's hitting .394 against lefties. The Giants have seen a lot of left-handed pitching early in the year. This is already their 10th left-handed starter they've faced.
Belt is the other one who hits lefties pretty well. Gregor Blanco, who's not in the lineup.
Panik had a really good year last year, curtailed for the last 2 months because of a fracture in his back. He's all better now and off to another good start. Really has established himself in short order as a very valuable second baseman for the Giants. You look 1 through 8 in this order, and a sort of 1 through 8 since they have the pitcher batting 8. There is not a weak spot in this San Francisco lineup.
And I think Panik is a little bit like the Mets' Conforto. I don't think he's as good a hitter as Michael Conforto, but the same knowledge of the strike zone, same balance. Lefties or righties don't matter.
2-2, slapped down to third, giving ground his right. He can't make the play, and Panik is aboard. Would have been tough for David, back on his heels to throw out Panik, even had he secured it, and they'll score that a base hit.
Tough in between hop here. Actually, it's a long hop. He just missed it. He got it in the glove and just clanked it. It happens.
So a 1-out infield hit for Panik, and now Matt Duffy, who finished second in the Rookie of the Year balloting in the National League last year. Hit .295 with 12 home runs as a rookie. Bruce Bochy moved Duffy up to the 3-hole last Friday, and he's been hitting since he was elevated.
Well, they've averaged over 6 runs per game in their last 6, so the Giants are starting to get hot. They always seem to be hot when they play the Mets, right?
Well, the Giants have won the season series here at Citi Field, the one series they play here each year, each of the last 5 seasons. Of course, 3 times in the last 6 years, the Giants have finished the season as World Series champions, and this being an even year, they probably feel they're due for another one.
It makes them dangerous.
Duffy takes high. 2-1.
Matz's fastball, except for the 2-1 to Panik, has been a little up in the strike zone.
Stephen coming off a no-walk 8 strikeout performance over 6 1/3 against Atlanta his last time out. Duffy fouls off the fastball. 2-2.
And we'll take a look at your Mets Lexus defense. And everybody's had a day off. Curtis Granderson had 48 hours off. He's out in right field. Walker and Cabrera, they continue to be the only 2 Mets to play every game this season. Plawecki, of course, we're going to see a lot of him with Darno on the DL.
Jacob deGrom, the year he won the Rookie of the Year, who finished second. Billy Hamilton, who finished third. Matt Duffy.
Duffy lifts one to right center. Granderson eases over and calls, and that's the second out. So we felt as though we needed to show that Keith is actually here, since he really doesn't sound like Keith.
Well, you know, I get this Bronco thing every year. Remember one year, we were in Milwaukee, right, and I got pneumonia, and Ronnie had to fly in from New York. I had this flight from hell going back to Philadelphia to Islip with 103 fever. Oh gosh.
We'd just like to know how you're treating this ailment.
Lots of tea, lots of liquids, right? Usual stuff. I'm no different than anybody else.
I don't know. When you used to play, you used to take 5 at bats through this problem.
I would. Yes, I would. Absolutely.
It was a 4 for 5 kind of a night.
I always had good days when I was sick because I always concentrated more.
Buster Posey at the plate with 2 out and a runner on.
Well, I'd be happy to step aside if you anticipate that happening.
Excuse me. Sorry, folks. I'll be on my cough button tonight.
You just take it easy. We're here to pick you up. Posey fouls one away, and it's 0-2. Bruce Bochy is committed to resting Buster Posey more this year. He's 29 years old now, still catching most of the time, still plays some first base, but They're trying to get the most they can out of Posey by giving him more off days. With 308 last year. And he grounds one past the mound and into center field for a base hit. Panic pulls in at second. And so Posey able to just sneak one by the glove of Matz for the second hit of the inning.
Well, quite the hitter here, and I think really more of a 3-hitter than a cleanup hitter, but still he's just one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's got the numbers to back it up.
And the Mets book there, Plawecki called for the fastball up. To me, that's not a good pitch on Posey. He shortens up and knows how to hit with 2 strikes. You never say this about right-handed hitters, but he has one of the sweetest strokes from the right side you'll see.
So Matz with some first inning trouble to deal with, facing the red-hot Hunter Pence with 2 out and 2 on. Pence, who had an injury-filled season last year, has really kicked it in gear the last week. 10 for 21 over the last 6 games. Last year he broke his arm when he was hit by a pitch. He had a wrist injury. He had an oblique. Wound up playing just 52 games. A guy who generally plays 162. And Matz just misses 2-0.
His style is unorthodox, but at the end of the year, the numbers are always there for Pence.
Dangerous spot for Matz behind 2-0. And Pence goes after the high fastball, 2-1.
Well, he had, if you recall, when he went to Philadelphia from Houston, and he's always been a free swinger, and they tried to rein him in. And then the Giants traded for him, and Bruce Bochy pulled him aside and said, "Be yourself." And he has just been a terrific player for the Giants.
San Francisco is really that kind of place, isn't it? Sandoval had success being himself. Johnny Cueto loves playing there now. He's a new free agent, and of course Pence has been outstanding.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Pence. Fouls off that high fastball. Pence now 33 years old, just 2 home runs shy of 200 for his career. Pitch inning already for Matz. Again the 2-2. And he fouls back another fastball.
Everything's been up so far, Ronnie.
Yep. He had 1 pitch to panic on 2-1. That was a good fastball in the knees, but other than that, Matz has had trouble. I don't know whether it's the cold weather, the rainy weather, but having trouble getting the ball down.
7th pitch of the at bat to Pence, and he missed a up and in. 3-2.
All fastballs too. No mixing it up so far for the young Mats.
So that'll set the runners in motion. Panic at second. Posey at first will be going. Big moment early in this game for Steven Matz. Brandon Belt would be next. 3-2 to Pence. Had him lunging at the changeup, and he pops it foul back out of play.
You know, this is the first time for almost all of these hitters to see Steven Matz, so he'll be able to get away with some mistakes maybe early, but they'll pick up on it as he goes.
This will be the 9th pitch of the at bat to Pence, and he hits it sharply, but right at Cabrera. Handles it cleanly. Side retired. 2 hits, but 2 left. And well, Keith, we hope he can.
What happened
well
to my
soon.
tooth? Jeez, see what happens when you go out with a lame.
starting lineup. Yoenis Cespedes is back in the lineup for the first time in a week. That sends Juan Lagares back to the bench. Kevin Plawecki, his third straight start with Travis d'Arnaud on the DL. Otherwise, the Mets running their regular lineup out there against Jake Peavy.
Well, you see the Toyota numbers. The starting one is the 35 hits in only 21 innings pitched for Jake. He's a guy that in his prime was very hard to get 3-4 hits off in a 9-inning game.
Curtis Granderson had most of the day off on Wednesday. He did have a pinch hitting assignment. Last 11 games hitting .349, so he has really been cooking as the Mets have gotten hot.
It's interesting to see Peavy, now a veteran, has had arm problems. He was such a power pitcher with the Padres, and now just sinking the ball, becoming more of a control pitcher.
There's a lot of cutters these days. Rolled down to first, and Brandon Belt takes it himself to retire Granderson one away.
And the Giants Coors Light defense. There's our old buddy Angel Pagan in left field with Denard Span. Now he's got the center field anchored in there, moving Pagan over to left. Brandon Belt, really an upcoming star at first base. Decent glove over there. And of course the perennial all-star MVP, batting champ behind the plate, Mr. Posey.
Here's David Wright. David 3 for 19 in his career against Posey. This is his 14th career start, PV, against the Mets.
Well, you take out the pitcher, 5 of the 8 starters for the Mets have taken PV deep, so there is some damage against Jake, but that usually happens when you've been in the league this long.
The last time we saw Jake Peavy at Citi Field was 2 years ago, and he hooked up with Jacob deGrom in a memorable game. They both had a no-hitter going through 6 innings.
That's right.
In fact, Peavy was perfect through 6 before the Mets got 4 against him in the 7th and won the game. 3-time All-Star, Cy Young back in 07 with the Padres. And the cutter off the plate. And he went around 2-1.
That's the pitch you mentioned, Gary, that when he's behind, he'll go to that pitch. He doesn't want to throw the fastball. And he got David out front.
Jake pitched well against Miami his last start. That was last Saturday. Went 7 strong innings, gave up 2 runs. That was the last game the Marlins lost. Of course, the Marlins suffered a much bigger loss than a game last night. We'll talk about that in a little bit. 3-1 coming to Wright, and it's off the plate. A 3-1 cutter that misses, and Wright's aboard with a 1-out walk. That's 12 walks that David's drawn this year, the most on the team.
See, he's on the side of that baseball. That's what makes it cut. All that pressure on the outside part cuts across the plate, and despite the tracking there by Posey outside for a ball.
So Michael Conforto will come to bat with a man on. Conforto just tearing it up right now. Top 10 in the National League in both on base and slugging. Had a 2-run double Wednesday night that helped put away the Mets' 6th straight win. And that was after 3 fruitless at bats. And a lot of people were talking after the game about the fact that Conforto, even with all the runners that he left on base those first 3 at bats, never changed demeanor.
He has one idea when he comes to the plate, and that's take a good at bat, and he doesn't let one seep into the other. I loved his comments after the game. They asked him about it. He said, listen, I come up every time I come up with people and I want to drive them in. It's not going to happen every time. I just like those comments instead of, well, pitcher was pitching me too tough or I missed my pitch. It happens. Just keep grinding those at bats out.
Nothing in 2 to Conforto.
And that's what I like about Conforto so far. He's willing to go 0-2. A nice backdoor slider knees. Not a good pitch to hit. Willing to spit on it and even go 0-2. He's very, very patient.
How about not moaning and groaning to the umpire on every pitch?
Right at first and 1 out. 0-2 from Peavy. And he bounces it. Nice stop by Posey. 1-2. Lefties have been giving Peavy trouble this year. They're hitting .439 against him coming into this start. He had a start in Colorado that, well, I guess it's the Coors Field nightmare, right? He gave up 10 extra base hits, which ties the most extra base hits any pitcher's allowed in a game in the last 60 years.
I hope that's a month.
It's a nightmare.
Especially early in the season. Just kills your numbers. 1-2 to Conforto. And he taps one back to the mound. It came off his leg, a foul ball.
Boy, it tied him up right there with that slider inside.
Good shot there. Little dot just keeps boring in.
But he gets a piece of it.
Yep.
Stays in the at bat.
Came off his toe.
You know what happens when you give up 10 extra base hits, though, Gary? You don't have to do your running in between starts because you do it by backing up the bases for 2 hours.
6 doubles, 3 triples, and a home run in just 4 innings of work.
Wow.
That's hard to do. There are going to be a lot more triples at Coors Field this year, too. Here's the 1-2 coming up and in because they put up those higher fences in right center field. So balls that were home runs in the past are now, there could be a lot of 3-base hits.
Being called the Bridich barrier. Brydick barrier. Their general managers, Jeff Brydick.
Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
It doesn't exactly. That's why I'm giving you the heads up.
Not exactly like Tal's Hill.
I'm giving you the heads up. You got 2 weeks to get on it.
And Conforto goes down on the cutter, and Peavy has his first strikeout of the night, 2 out of the inning.
Pitched him pretty tough right there. Not a strike, tough to lay off. Another slider.
It's interesting how every pitch is connected. He threw one to Conforto for a strike earlier in the count, so now he's thinking the same thing, but it was a ball.
So here's Yoenis Cespedes making his return to the lineup tonight. This will be more than a cameo for Yoenis. At least he hopes so. He was on the field for about 17 seconds on Tuesday night. He had a 3-run pinch hit home run on the first pitch he saw. Ducked out of the ballpark after the game was over, and now back in the lineup tonight. And he takes a curveball for a strike from Peavy. Cespedes with extra base hits in each of his last 8 games, which ties the Mets club record. Ty Wigginton had extra base hits in 8 straight games back in 2004. So Cespedes with a chance to set a new mark tonight. It was right before they traded Ty away. Fly ball, shallow center. Span coming on. You know why they traded Wigginton, right? They had this kid coming up from the minors, kid named David Wright.
Oh, number 5.
Yeah, they had to make room for him. No score after 1. Second inning, Brandon Belt leads off against Steven Matz. That's put on the full shift against Belt, with David Wright shifting over to the right side. Belt just signed a big 6-year contract, $79 million a couple of weeks ago with the Giants. And his celebratory moment on Wednesday when he drove in 5 runs in the Giants win over the Padres.
There's your defense, and you see the pull there for Belt.
Even against the left-handed pitching, they play the pull, which I find interesting. Now Cabrera is going to go back to his shortstop position with 1 strike.
And Belt trying to bunt his way on with the left side completely open.
Hey, you're leading off an inning. It's a good idea if you can get it down.
Well, and we've talked about this. It's one thing if you're the 35 home run guy, but Brandon Belt's a 15 to 18 home run guy. Why wouldn't he take the free hit?
That's right.
Smacks one foul. Belt, a guy who's just coming into his own. 280 last year, 18 home runs. Brandon Crawford, who also signed a long-term deal recently with the Giants, waiting on deck. So they're securing their core for the next few years. Check swing. Did he go? He did not. 3-2 to Belt. So a lot of pitches for Steven Matz early in this game, through 24 in the first inning. Three-two, and Belt hits one to the vacated space, and he'll have an infield hit. Didn't mean to, but busted his bat and rolled one to the vacated left side, and that's the 3rd Giants hit.
That's what he tried to do that for the second pitch of the at bat. Saws him off.
Oh.
So the Giants have the leadoff man on, and the number 7 hitter Brandon Crawford coming up. Crawford so far this year has struggled against the lefties, hitting just 130.
Had his career year last year. Finally became the hitter they thought he would to go along with his Gold Glove defense.
21 home runs last year, 84 driven in. That got him a brand new 6-year, $75 million contract. Now the Giants have been hitting the pitcher 8th regularly, and Jake Peavy is on deck. Angel Pagan has done a nice job hitting in the 9-hole, and Bruce Bochy has kept that intact. Well, and Matz misses the bottom of the strike zone, 1-1.
It's like if you have on your ball club an 8th place hitter that had led off in his career, that's the guy you want batting 9th and the pitcher hitting 8th.
It seems to be the plan.
Yeah.
Whether it actually helps produce more offense, I think, is an open question. As Crawford has to bend out of the way, 2-1.
The theme so far for Steven is just that he has been up with his pitches. He's having a hard time getting the ball down.
Had much better fastball command his last time out in Atlanta. Well, it's struggling early in this one. That finds the inside corner. 2-2.
A little easier to go right after guys when there's a little less meat and potatoes in the lineup, you know?
There goes Belt. Crawford strikes out. Plawecki's throw. Got him! Strike him out, throw him out, double play.
That's a close one at second base.
It was a high tag. It's just wonder if he got underneath the tag. No, I think he got him on the shoulder before his foot got in there.
That's boom, boom. Very close.
Yeah, so it's got to stay.
Ron Kolpa is the second base umpire.
Oh, I tell you.
No sign of a challenge from the Giants. So it goes as a strikeout, caught stealing 2-6, 2 out and nobody on, and now Peavy will bat. And part of that, I think, if it's a close enough call, if you're Bruce Bochy, You got the pitcher coming up next. You don't want to waste your challenge in the second inning on a 50-50 proposition.
Of course. And have you noticed, instead of taking the throw from the catcher 3 feet in front of the bag, Cabrera takes it right on the bag, lets the ball travel.
Strike 3 called, and that gets matched through the inning. So back-to-back strikeouts for Steven. Middle of the second at Citi Field with no score. Bench coach Dick Scott after his fine throw to complete the strike him out, throw him out.
Well, there's the two catchers. d'Arnaud on your right, and look at the difference in release. Similar pitches.
Lucas Duda leads off in the home second and takes outside from Jake Peavy. It's interesting watching Plawecki throw because he doesn't really fire out from behind the plate. He's more standing tall when he releases the ball.
Yeah, he kind of flicks it out there, but it's got carry on it.
He gets up and yet still gets rid of it quickly.
He kind of gets the angle like pitchers do, gets on top of it. He throws more from on top. d'Arnaud throws a little more from the side.
So far, Plawecki has enjoyed success. That's 5 of 8 now that he's thrown out to start his season. d'Arnaud 3 of 17.
Give Lucas the hit sign here.
3-0 to Duda with Walker on deck, and he takes a strike on the inside. Didn't want to swing at that. The red-hot Neil Walker has today and tomorrow to set a Mets club record for home runs in April.
Well, that's a good pitch. 3-1, little cutter on that outside part. You know who owned that pitch? Roy Halladay, when he was pitching for Philadelphia. If he was behind a left-handed hitter, little cutter on the outside part for a strike anytime he wanted it.
He was throwing a little harder than this.
Oh, yes.
So. Duda has a home run in his career against Peavy, and he takes outside ball 4. So Peavy issues his second walk. That equals the total he had given up in his first 4 starts. Brooklyn Cyclones tickets go on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. The 2016 schedule includes opening day Friday, June 17th, plus popular bobblehead nights including Michael Conforto, Lucas Duda, Wilmer Flores, postgame fireworks, and more. For tickets, visit brooklyncyclones.com. Here's the incredible Mr. Walker. No doubles, no triples, 9 home runs. And by the way, that's a Mets club record. I didn't know this one they kept, but it is. And he thinks about a bunt, Peavy diving after it, throwing from his knees, but too wide. So they gave Walker the left side of the field, and he takes advantage with a bunt hit.
The issue here, Keith, is that Peavy's got a Gold Glove. He is a great fielder, and he almost comes up with this play. He had time to, with a good throw, to get him at first base.
Won his Gold Glove back in 2012.
It's a heck of a play, because if he doesn't make that play, Walker's going to walk to first base. So it was a great effort. Couldn't square himself up on that one knee.
So a walk and a bunt hit have the table set. And, you know, for Neil Walker, that's a guy who's hitting home runs, who understands the kind of player he is.
He's a team player. He's a winning player.
Cabrera at the plate. Third baseman Duffy in on the grass as though he's expecting a bunt from Cabrera. It'll be hard to imagine. And the off-speed pitch for a strike.
Playing it for the pull on the infield. Shortstop way up the middle, Crawford.
Got Kevin Plawecki, the number 8 hitter, on deck.
Very shallow outfield, particularly in left field. Pagan playing extremely shallow.
And his dribble flies one foul down the left side. That'll go out of play. 0-2.
You know, it's amazing, guys, is that the older the pitcher is, the more the fingers are painted of the catcher. Sometimes you see, like A.J. Przinsky had just his nails done. Buster Posey, it's almost all the way up to his knuckles.
Well, Peavy's always had terrible eyesight. Yeah. He's worn contacts or glasses since he was a kid.
They even got the white powder or whatever it is on his.
Well, he's got the green nails and the white powder.
Whatever it is.
Skeletor.
Yeah.
Good call.
Nice Halloween colors on the uniform, too.
Stole that from Princeton. 0-2 coming. And Cabrera leans back. 1-2.
And Peavy really has to work and be fine with his pitches. He's pitching like the old Peavy. He's aggressive, but he's just, I think he's aware, Ronnie, he has to be on the corners.
Mets faced Peavy in San Francisco last summer. He pitched a gem against them, gave up just 1 earned run in 7 innings, but lost. And still has those games in him. And Cabrera smokes one to center field. Span ranging back. Has it lined up and grabs it. Tagging at second is Duda, and he moves over to third. So Cabrera hit it deep enough to get Duda to third base with 1 out.
Well, Cabrera knows how to situational hit. He had that real fine game, I believe it was in Atlanta, where he hit second in the order and set up the 2 run scoring situations with when Granderson led off with a walk and a single. So he knows how to handle the bat.
So now it's Plawecki trying to get that run in from third. Kevin just 4 for 23 to start the year.
Where you'd like to see Kevin try to concentrate. Plawecki's not going to throw a lot of pitches inside. Most of them are going to be cutters, sliders away. Concentrate on that middle right side of the diamond, because when he tries to pull the ball, that's that double play ball that can be turned.
It was Tuesday night. Plawecki hit 2 balls solidly to right center. One was caught, one got down for a hit right before Cespedes' big home run. Dude at third, Walker at first with 1 out. Peavy paints the outside corner.
That leg flying all over the place. He really was a gunslinger in his time, wasn't he? A little more judicious now, more like Judge Roy Bean, maybe, not the gunslinger.
The hanging judge.
Yeah.
148 wins in his big league career, now 34 years old. And Plawecki lays off the cutter. Oh, they say swung. Wow.
That's twice now Paul Nart. So you know, just like the strike zone, some umpires have a bigger strike zone. Some base umpires have a
more aggressive in calling the check swing.
So that puts Plawecki in a 2-strike hole. With Steven Matz on deck. Plawecki lays off, and it's 1-2. One-two coming, and again Plawecki able to lay off the breaking ball. 2-2.
And this is by design from PV, Ron. He's trying to get a strikeout without throwing a strike ahead in the count.
Or if Plawecki tries to pull it, it's going to be a ball on the ground. He's going to try to paint him away now.
2-2 to Plawecki. And he flies one foul. That'll go out of play. See the crowd bundled up against the weather. 52 degrees at game time. Wind blowing in. A little light rain falling.
I don't get the umbrellas at the ball game. I mean, you are obstructing the person behind you, right? But
don't you hate those people with big umbrellas in front of you and you're trying to watch a game?
How about reclining on the airplane?
Strike 3 called. Peavy set him up and got him looking at a fastball for the second out.
I was waiting for that fastball in after everything away, Ron. And well, this is good pitching right here.
Yeah, well, he had taken the slider, so as a veteran pitcher, you got to say to yourself, I can't take a chance on another slider. Can't go to 3-2. So let's see if you can dot him inside, and he did. He made the pitch.
So Plawecki couldn't get the run in, but Peavy's not out of the woods yet. He has to face Steven Matz, who's 5 for 16 with 5 RBIs in his big league career. Makes him a lifetime .313 hitter. First and third, 2 out. And he goes after a first pitch slider, 0-1.
How many first pitch breaking balls have we seen against this Mets pitching staff when they're up to bat? And it's going to only get more.
Duda at third, Walker at first. Well, both these teams have pitchers who can hit.
Peavy's off to a fast start.
Matz lays off, a ball and a strike. The inning began with a walk to Duda. Walker with the shift on, laid down a bunt and beat it out. Cabrera flied out. Plawecki struck out, and now Matz trying to pick up the run with 2 out. Steven Matz, a one-time high school first baseman. Takes a fastball that misses low and in. 2-1.
This is the one thing that I've noticed about the Mets pitching staff when they hit. It's Grandy Waits on deck. They've got a really good eye too. I mean, they don't go up there just swinging. They are looking for a pitch to hit. Matz showed us in his first start. He's got some potential to right center field. He likes that gap.
He certainly caught people's attention in that first start against the Reds last year. 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs.
Well, he got himself in a little bit of trouble here, 3-1 now, and Matz has got himself in a fastball situation. Don't want to walk Matz with Granderson in the on-deck circle.
At certain times in a game as a pitcher, you just got to groove it and just hope he hits it at someone.
And Matz fouls it off.
Threw a little sinker up there, though. That had a little bit of sink on it.
.22 pitches in the inning for Peavy.
Matz with the no hitting gloves, Keith.
Former left-handed first baseman.
Belt moves behind Walker at first. He'll be running on 3-2. Duda leads off third. And Matz swings and misses at the cutter, and the side retired. So Peavy, with back-to-back strikeouts, gets himself through a second inning jam. Still no score at Citi Field. Family Sunday, May 1st. Hey, that's this Sunday. Watch the Mets take on the Giants at 1:10. The first 15,000 fans in attendance will receive a pair of Curtis Granderson baseball socks, courtesy of East Coast Power and Gas. With a large crowd expected, be sure to arrive early and take the train to the game. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Family Sundays. Now time for something to smile about, presented by AT&T Cricket Wireless. Getting a ball from a big league baseball player? That's something to smile about.
Handshake, too. Oh.
Well, the rain's gotten a little steadier over the last few minutes. Some of the fans have gone back for cover, but not raining hard enough to stop the game. Angel Pagan will lead off in the third against Steven Matz. And the former Met takes a strike. Pagan, who had knee surgery in the offseason, settling into a new position in left field and a new spot in the batting order in the 9-hole, and he's done very well with both.
It's a good time for his career for that defensive change to happen.
34 years old now. Spent 4 years as a Met, 08 through 11.
The poncho works.
On the red, looked a little nervous. Smacked down to first, and Duda handles it. Yeah, Pagan retired, one away. Who were the two players the Mets got? Ramon Ramirez.
That's right, the right-hander.
And Andres Torres.
Had a hard time throwing strikes. And then Andres Torres was a little leadoff hitter.
Who had a little problem saying hello to people multiple times during the day.
He wore a great pair of jeans, though.
Well, Angel had a couple of really good years as a Met. His last year wasn't great, and the Mets did not realize that he was going to have as long and productive a career as he's turned out to have. And he's done well in San Francisco. There's Denard Span, who spent last year as a Washington National until hip surgery derailed his season. It's interesting that the Giants took a flyer on Span.
Yeah.
3 years, $31 million for a guy coming off hip surgery.
Well, 2 years ago, you can make the argument that he and Rendon were maybe the MVPs of that Nationals team. Last year, lots of injuries. You're right. It's hard to bet on a guy who's been that hurt.
And he finds the hole on the right side. And Span has a base hit.
But for all of us that watched him against the Mets when he was a National, I mean, that's what you usually saw, base hits from Span.
Well, that's 4 hits against Matz, and none has been hit particularly hard. Joe Panik had the first one. A ground ball down to third that David Wright backed up on. So Joe Panik who has hit safely in each of the last 6 games he's played against the Mets. Hit over 400 against Mets pitching last year. One of 4 players who had over 20 at-bats against the Mets and hit over 400. The others were Jason Hayward, Andrelton Simmons, and D. Gordon.
Huh.
And I don't know about you guys, but it was so disappointing to wake up this morning and hear the news about D. Gordon being suspended for 80 games.
Well, I just, you know, what has happened is that you're going to have to find out how monetarily to make this not happen anymore for the players, because you can, let's say, okay, that D. Gordon has taken something for a while. Well, he's gotten a $50 million contract because of that. He'll lose what, $1.3, $1.3 million this year because of the suspension.
Makes you wonder. Batting title last year, is that tainted?
A 4-game sweep by the Marlins while he's able to still play.
Well, that Justin Verlander was up in arms about that, about the fact that players are able to play while they appeal these suspensions. It's popped up. David Wright might have a play over near the railing and just quite enough room. And you know, the 2 cases that have come down in the last few days, Chris Colabello and D. Gordon, you know, you look at them and we don't know. All we know is that they each failed a drug test.
Yeah.
But you look at the arc of their careers, with Colabello having been a guy who couldn't get out of independent ball and then all of a sudden becomes a big leaguer. D. Gordon, who was basically a backup player with the Dodgers and now has become a batting title holder over the last few years. And it really makes you believe, whether it's true or not, as you say, that they've probably been using for a while to get them over the hump in their career and get them to this point. And it's only now that they're failing tests because maybe the testing's getting a little better.
Yes, well, I think that's the issue. We always assume, because people tell us, that the players are ahead of the testing. That might not be the case.
Out to center field, Cespedes right there.
And, you know, if you hear it enough, what did D. Gordon hear as a player all the time? He's too thin. He can't play an entire season. He needs to be stronger. People always think that, you know, PEDs are for power. They're performance-enhancing drugs, not power-enhancing drugs. They give you the ability to play better than you can.
Well, they make you infinitely bigger and stronger, get the ball further.
But also strong enough to last the season.
And they have an effect of an amphetamine too, so it's 2 for the price of 1.
Well, it's going to be up. It's going to be up to the Players Association and the players within the Players Association to make this better. And the reason I say that is I hear some fans say, "Well, we don't care if the players use performance-enhancing drugs. Let them all use them. We don't care."
Yeah.
And that's fine for the fans, but for the players, every time you get a player who's using performance-enhancing drugs, he's taking money out of the pocket of a player who's not.
That's right.
And it's not cheating.
And it's up to the players to make it to the point where it's not worth it to do that.
I saw a tweet from our good friend Vic Black. He said, "I'm down here trying to rehab, and guys are testing positive. Classy move, guys." That was his tweet.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you know, I like what Verlander says. I like what others say. But it's going to take more than a couple of players. It's going to take some real monetary action. And what I mean by that, a guy like D. Gordon, who's on a $50 million contract, if you test positive, it's voided. And if you come back, you play for the league minimum. And then you got to play for a year. And if you test negative for a year, then you can negotiate a new contract. How about that?
Are the players ever going to agree to that?
No.
They'll never agree to that.
But that's about policing their own and protecting themselves. I mean, the other part about it is that, you know, the union is very protective of these players who fail drug tests. They seem to back them more than sometimes they back the players who aren't cheating, and that's got to change. I understand the gains that the players have made in collective bargaining, but eventually, if guys are cheating and taking money out of your pocket, you have to protect yourself from them.
I think it's going to have to be, Gary, where it's you really hurt your team as well as yourself in the wallet, and that is a full year suspension, and you lose a full year's salary.
That's a start, Keith. That's a start.
That's just the way it is, and that way you really hurt your team. And if you get caught in August, well, guess what? It's going over to the next year. You're going to lose a year's salary. You really got to make it hurt.
2-2 to Duffy. Little looper into shallow center. That'll fall for a hit. Span's going to go first to third. And so the Giants have runners at the corners, and Buster Posey coming up.
Well, that's the cutter there, and it's kind of a little bit lazy, although good placement inside, but Duffy kind of fought it off.
And no hesitation. 2 outs on contact. You're running.
So the Giants now with 5 singles against Steven Matz. Buster Posey had one of those. He rolled one up the middle for a base hit in the first. First and third and 2 down. And Posey takes inside. Plawecki mishandles it. And the runner at first base, Duffy, went halfway and then stopped.
Wow.
Perhaps, I don't know, was he trying to draw a throw to try and steal a run?
No, he's got to get in scoring position.
Yeah.
This is a major error in judgment. He's out there. He had it. Easy.
Just a misread by Duffy there. He didn't know what to do.
1-0 to Posey.
Well, I guess if you're on first base and you're Duffy, your thought is, if I get thrown out at second base with Posey up at the bat, Bochy's going to be all over me.
Still, you don't. You can't think that out.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You got to get in scoring position. The base hit would be 2 RBIs, 2 runs on the board.
Changeup popped up. And in comes Granderson to call. Side retired. So Matz gets a king size out there, retiring Posey on a fly ball to strand 2. Still no score. Better now.
Yeah. I was sick that day. I remember that pitcher.
You could win a $25 gas card. Just follow SNY on Twitter during the 5th inning of tonight's game for details on how to enter the SNY 5th inning sweepstakes presented by Tri-State Ford. Second time around the batting order for the Mets as they come up in the bottom of the 3rd against Jake Peavy. Curtis Granderson grounded out to first base his first time. That's got the first 2 men on against Peavy in the 2nd, but couldn't bring a run around.
Reload.
We talked about the Giants and the fact that their pitching has been up and down. The Giants starters have thrown more innings than any staff in the National League so far this year. Part of that is that Bruce Bochy does not have a lot of confidence in his bullpen, especially with both Sergio Romo and George Cantos on the disabled list.
He's got a lot of young kids out there.
He's got a veteran starting staff, and he's been pushing them. 3-1 to Granderson. We're not going to see the two new acquisitions for the Giants in this series, Johnny Cueto and Jeff Samardzija. Matt Cain, who's been struggling, goes tomorrow, and their ace, Madison Bumgarner, Sunday.
Good eye.
And that's inside, ball 4. Granderson waiting for the call from Gabe Morales. And the call was ball 4, second straight leadoff walk for Peavy.
3 in the game now for Peavy, who usually has impeccable control.
He had walked just 2 batters in 21 innings over his first 4 starts.
You know, for our younger fans out there, when Jake Peavy was with the Padres and won his Cy Young, he was a little Jake Arrieta-like, and that's how hard he was to hit. Great slider, great movement. Bulldog.
David Wright drew a walk his first time up.
Peavy's got a good move. Won't need it much with the Mets.
Mets have stolen only 5 bases over their first 20 games. Granderson has none. What the Mets have been doing is hitting scads of home runs, 28 of them in their last 12 games. In fact, the 30 home runs the Mets have hit in their first 20 games is a franchise record. 1978, 1987 and 1988, the Mets hit 28 in their first 20 games. This year, 30.
Peavy's getting himself in some trouble here.
High fastball, and he tried to sink it, both out of the strike zone.
Well, Conforto waiting on deck. And that misses, ball 3.
When you've lost something in your repertoire as a older pitcher, Conforto on deck, you try to be so precise. You try to throw breaking balls behind in the count. If you don't have your control, it puts you in harm's way all night long.
Well, he's been nibbling the whole game and getting himself in trouble, and sooner or later, you know, it's hard to keep that up for 100 pitches.
Dave Righetti, the longtime Giants pitching coach, keeping tabs on Peavy.
16 years as the pitching coach.
And Wright takes it high, ball 4. So back-to-back walks to start the bottom of the 3rd. And 4 walks in 2 innings plus for Jake Peavy.
Peavy was
accustomed to that.
Peavy was asking Morales there, where is that pitch? So he and Morales having a little go back and forth.
Now he has to contend with the youngster, the up-and-coming Michael Conforto.
Is that up? Is that high?
Okay.
And as soon as you turn around, you go, that ain't up. That ball's right there. Punch a hole in that mask.
Got Conforto on a slider to strike him out in the back in the 1st.
Granderson at second, Wright at first, and nobody out. And Conforto attacks the first pitch and fouls it off.
It's both at bats. He's attacked first pitch now against Peavy. 30 games over 500 for Peavy with a 3.5 ERA.
Something less than a full shift against Conforto with 2 men on. And he lines one in the left center for a base hit. Granderson will score. Span cuts it off. Wright goes to 3rd. Conforto's going to try for 2nd, and he makes it safely. An RBI double for Michael Conforto, and the Mets take the early lead.
Just keep using that left center field. He can hit. This is a bullet, little backdoor slider, gets it out over the plate. Hits it right where it's pitched. A little bit of confusion on Conforto's part here. Granderson's going to score easily.
Well, it was a bad play by Span because Span needed to throw the ball to second base. He did not. That's where the confusion came.
Conforto hesitated between.
Right, he hesitates. I'm wondering what it was. He wasn't looking at David. He's got to go. That's a double.
So the Mets cash in one of those PV walks. Now it's Cespedes. 5 straight games with a double for Conforto. Infield back. Second and third, nobody out. And Cespedes takes the breaking ball in the dirt.
Peavy's in trouble if he's going to throw the breaking ball to Cespedes. He just is such a good breaking ball hitter. And I'm telling you, as good a breaking ball hitter as Albert Bell. I remember facing with Cleveland. Not only does he hit it, but he hits it for pop.
Cespedes fly to center his first time up. Chases the cutter off the plate. 1-1.
He got Cespedes before to pop up to center field on the fastball in. Let's see if he tries to do that again in this at bat.
Despite missing most of the last week, Cespedes still 7th in the league in home runs, 6th in RBIs, 3rd in slugging percentage. Been on a terrific hot streak. And Peavy with a perfect pitch outside corner at the knees. 1-2.
Wanted it in, Gary, and it wound up on the outside corner and it missed on the other side of the corner. Perfect.
Results.
You got it.
I remember where Brandon Belt is playing. Can he get back to first base with a ground ball?
He can. You let your infielders know where you are, Gary. You have a runner at third base on a ground ball, particularly the third baseman's going to hold that runner.
No, Cutter's away. Cespedes, if he wants to go away, that's just an easy base hit.
Right at third, Conforto at second, nobody out. 2-2 to Cespedes with Duda to follow.
Step off here.
Cespedes playing with that bruise on his leg. He says, and Terry Collins says, he may need to limit his sliding, but everything else should be okay. And he lines one to center for a base hit, and that'll bring home 2. Right is in, Conforto right behind him. Cespedes drives in a pair, and it's 3-0 New York.
Stay away, hit it away, huh, Keith?
It's just a flat little slider, almost like a cutter, and they've kind of, second time through the order, they've kind of got him. Now watch Conforto here. Can't kick it into third gear. Let's go. Got to run. Run hard, then after you make that turn, there's the base hit. Make that turn and you look over your shoulder to see where the ball is in regard to the center fielder. Then you can back it down to third.
It was one of the focuses for Cespedes this spring, was driving the ball to right center on that pitch away, and it really came into play there. And the Mets with 3 runs home, nobody out. Lucas Duda at the plate, and he takes inside ball 1. For Cespedes, 16 RBIs in his last 9 games. Duda walked his first time up. One of 4 walks Peavy's given up. 2 of them have scored in this inning. And he finds the inside corner, a ball and a strike. After that base hit by Cespedes, Dave Righetti paid a visit to the mound. No action as yet in the Giants bullpen, but it has not come easily for Peavy right from the beginning. If it hurts Cespedes to slide, What does he do on a ground ball going into second base? Does he just peel off?
You can slide. Can you slide on the other leg? I know it's a little bit.
He said he usually slides on the right.
You can peel off. Not try to break up too, is what you're saying.
But you have to.
But if it's late in the game, it's a tight game. You know.
Well, that's Terry Collins' biggest fear is that, you know, he aggravated it sliding in Atlanta. He doesn't want him to do it again and lose him for another week or two.
Lucas could hit it out of the park and make it easier.
It would certainly help. Neil Walker waits on deck. 2-2 from Peavy, and Duda lays off. Full count.
I have this theory that certain pitchers, as they age, if they have a certain personality, and Jake Peavy to me is one of those guys who has a frenetic gamer personality, it's really hard as you go further into your career to back it all the way down and become a touch and feel kind of pitcher.
Become a breaking ball pitcher.
Yeah, his way of pitching is to be aggressive, and it's just the opposite tonight.
Mike Broadway up in the Giants bullpen as Peavy continues to struggle. Cespedes at first, nobody out with a 3-2 count to Duda.
Run him.
Not going, and Duda fouls it away. So 3-2 cutter. Peavy's throwing 23 pitches in this inning and still looking for an out.
And working very slow. The Mets have just put the pressure on him this inning.
Duda pulls one foul. Well, he had 3 rough outings in a row to start the season. Turned in a good one against Miami last time out, but this one not going well for Jake Peavy. 8th pitch of the at bat coming to Duda. And Lucas fouls off the cutter. Still 3-2.
Well, how about those Philadelphia Phillies, Gary? They swept the Washington Nationals.
That's some great pitching in that series.
2 games over 500.
They got 5 shutout tonight.
Ellison pitched a great game. Nola pitched a great game. And Duda just got a piece of the curveball to stay in there. And Adam Morgan going tonight. He's taking the place of Charlie Morton, who went on the DL. Is going to miss the rest of the year.
Adam Morgan, who was very disappointed not making the staff out of spring training, he gives them a left-hander in their rotation.
This will be the 10th pitch of the at bat from Peavy to Duda. And Lucas takes inside, ball 4.
Wow.
So there's a terrific turn at bat for Duda. 3rd walk of the inning and the 5th of the game for Peavy. And how much further can they go with him?
You know, it's got to be interesting for manager Bruce Bochy is that while he was having his great years in San Diego, Bochy was his manager, and now he's his manager here at in the fall of his career.
He did well last year for the Giants.
Yeah.
Made 19 starts, 8-6, 3.58. Certainly nothing to be ashamed of. This year's gotten off to a very different start.
He finished up 11-4 in his last 14 starts.
Neil Walker with a chance to put the hammer down. Still nobody out, and he takes a strike on the outside. Walker laid down a bunt single his first time up.
Well, he's staying with the breaking ball, Ronnie, and he just can't get it over with any consistency, and that's why he's got 3 walks in the inning, and 2 rockets are hit off of him.
Ford with 2-run run-scoring double. Cespedes a 2-run single. Still nobody out. And Walker takes the breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Not a great breaking ball, kind of a roller, but it gets the call from Morales. You know, it's interesting. The less you have on the ball, the more you have to use your fastball. Does that make any sense? You know, like you have to use it enough or then it just becomes all breaking balls and the hitters make the adjustment.
Well, we saw him pitch backwards effectively to Plawecki in a key at bat in the last inning, right? Set him up with breaking stuff and then got him looking at a fastball.
And that's what he could do here, especially inside. That pitcher comes back over the inside part of the plate, but I guess maybe he doesn't feel like he has to feel for it tonight.
It's hard to do inning after inning. He's thrown a lot of pitches.
Walker down the right field line toward the corner, and it's one hop to the wall. Cespedes is in. Duda to third. Neil Walker with an RBI double, and it's 4-0 New York. First double of the year for Neil Walker.
Breaking ball down and in. He wanted it back door. Look at it come right over the middle. It just out a little bit of off speed got him out in front. Otherwise, this one would have been his 10th home run.
And that's going to be all for Jake Peavy. 6 straight Mets have reached base. 4 have scored here in the third. And Bruce Bochy's going to make a pitching change. So Peavy is out after 2 innings plus. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon. Mike Broadway, off Broadway. He's gone after 2 innings plus.
It's a cruel game.
Yes, it is. I was just telling you guys at the break, I had a lot of starts like that in 1995. I'm hip to his pain, but Mike Broadway here has got to come in and pick him up. Appeared in 21 games for the Giants last season.
Didn't make it to the big leagues till he was 28, former 4th-round pick of the Braves. Now Asdrubal Cabrera, first man to face him. 4 runs home in the inning. Still nobody out with runners second and third, and the Giants will bring their infield in. Cabrera flied to center his first time up. Duda at third, Walker at second. So Neil Walker's first 9 extra base hits as a Met were home runs. Nobody had ever done that before as a Met. Juan Swoboda, his first 8 extra base hits were home runs in 1968.
Rock.
Wow.
And now Walker's streak ends at 9 with his first double.
But Swoboda didn't do it in April, correct?
Well, yeah, to start the season. So April, yeah. Driven toward the gap in left center field, and that'll go to the wall. 2 more will score. Duda and Walker are in. An opposite field double for Asdrubal Cabrera makes it 6-0 New York.
Well,
Broadway panned.
Yeah. And Cabrera says, "Give my regards."
no longer standing room only. And the Mets are just pounding the baseball. In the midst of a 6-game winning streak. Oh, Peavy's numbers are not pretty.
All the runs charged to Peavy. Book now closed on him. Now Kevin Plawecki, 8th man up in the inning. Still nobody out. And he takes a fastball from Broadway for a strike. Peavy's ERA through 5 starts is now 8.61. The Giants have another former All-Star pitching for them tomorrow. Matt Cain will take them out, and he, like Peavy, has gotten off to a difficult start.
He's in a transitional stage himself. You know, we used to always call him the hard luck guy for the Giants. He always would throw 8 innings, 1 run, and have a no decision or a loss at sometimes.
Plawecki struck out his first time, and he lays off the slider. 2-1. The 6 runs in the inning, the most the Mets have scored in an inning this year. And they've still nobody out.
Well, Broadway is a big kid on that mound. Interesting, when he gets in the stretch, he almost holds that ball out of his glove. Watch when he holds it and he puts it around his chest. It's almost, the ball's almost out of the glove.
Now, I just read this. I don't know how prevalent this is, but you know what Broadway's nickname is? You said how big he was?
Yeah.
Bone Crusher.
Yeah,
oh.
He does look like a bone crusher. And they also have Hunter Strickland out there,
right.
So do not get in a brawl with this team.
I don't know. I think Syndergaard could take them all.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about Thor.
Two coming. Way outside. Posey did well to keep that from going to the backstop.
Wow.
Posey wish he had his night off tonight.
Paducah. I've been there.
Yeah.
Mets once had a pitcher named Lance Broadway. I think they got him when they traded Robbie Alomar to the White Sox. 3-2 to Plawecki. Outside, ball 4.
Jeez.
8 straight Mets have reached base to start the inning. That's the 4th walk in the inning.
Big nibbling staff, isn't it, Ron, right tonight?
Okay, now Steven Matz is coming up. Are you going to ask him to bunt with 6 runs already home in the inning, or are you going to let him swing?
He's going to let him swing. I mean, there's never enough. The reason I'm saying I would, if I were managing, have him bunt, because you want to get enough runs. But I'm going with Terry Collins has done in the past. A lot of times he lets these guys swing.
Well, the Giants are looking for the bunt.
It's okay to bunt here.
Yes, it is okay.
It's not. It's too early in the game, and it's not a big enough lead.
I was wrong. He is bunting.
At least on the first pitch, he takes a strike. This all began with a walk to Granderson, a walk to right. Conforto doubled in a run. Cespedes singled in 2. Duda walked. Walker doubled in a run. Then the Giants made the pitching change. Cabrera doubled in 2, and Plawecki walked. 6 runs home, 9th man up in the inning. Granderson, who started the whole thing, is on deck. And Matz takes a strike, and it's 0-2. Maybe now we'll get to swing the bat.
He's non-bunted himself into a swing.
Struck out his first time up tonight.
Sorry, guys. Keith, it creeps up on me.
I think we're going to send you home.
Yes.
Need to get you some chicken soup. And Matt's bunt strike 3, so that's the first out of the inning.
Okay, they batted around. How many times now have the Mets batted around, Garrett? They've done it more than once.
I know one other time because I can remember from the scorebook. You know, whenever you do it.
That 5-run inning in Cleveland, they must have batted around in that one.
Okay.
So here's Granderson, who walked to start the inning. Cabrera at second, Plawecki at first, with 1 out. And Broadway fires a strike.
They batted around. Remember Cozart when he started from Miami here at Citi Field. They batted around in that game also.
He's in the minor leagues now, Jared Cozart.
Well, Sandy Alderson knew, and he stated pretty much that he had to improve the offense, and he's made some really nice moves in the offseason to bolster this lineup. And I do think it was critical to get Cespedes back, and that was something that maybe we all thought wasn't going to happen, but it did happen. But the acquisitions of Cabrera and Walker have been it's a lineup now with this pitching staff. You score 3 runs, you're going to win most of your games.
Well, the 2 middle infielders, I think, have performed beyond anybody's expectations for the first month. 1-2 to Granderson.
Boy, he throws 95 miles an hour, and most of the pitches he's thrown are sliders so far.
Amazing.
Right?
Yep.
Danny Barr, director, got a good shot there. I've never seen a pitcher hold the ball so that he gives the grip away to the runner on second base. It's a very strange thing to do. You're always trying to hide the ball from the runner on second.
He does that double set. I don't think I've seen that before. He comes to his belt and then he comes up high.
So you got to make sure you don't balk, huh? Right?
You got to do the same thing every time. It just that's the way he does it. Big, strong kid.
Remember they made Doc Gooden change his stretch position and hold his hands high to try and stop the running game.
How about the year they tried to teach him the sinker? I mean, where did that come from?
Well, I remember after Doc in '85 had the great year.
Granderson hits one in the air to right, chasing Pence back to the warning track, back near the wall, and he drops the ball. Cabrera to third. He's being waved home. Paddock will not make a relay throw, and it's 7-0. Well, Pence tracked it all the way right to the fence and just could not secure it.
Well, he didn't track it because he miscalculated where it was going to be. He thinks it's there. Uh-oh, I better get no, not that bad.
Hit right off the thumb of the glove.
I got to believe that's an E9. What are they going to do?
The way it's going tonight, I bet you it's a base hit.
Because the runners had to hold, Cabrera scampered home, but Plawecki only got as far as second, and Granderson's on first.
Keith, you notice that? Not the back and forth.
Thank
just
you.
Stood still.
Took the words out of my mouth. Everybody tagging up. Don't go darting back and forth. Just get out there and hang.
So 7 runs are in, still 1 out. David Wright, the 11th man up in the inning. He walked earlier in this third. In fact, he's walked twice tonight, and they are giving Granderson credit for a hit. So a single and an RBI for Granderson on the ball off Pence's glove.
And gets an RBI out of that. Boy, this is just so uncharacteristic of the Giants.
But they've had some games like this season. They've given up their staff the second most hits of any staff in the National League, and I'm used to that with San Francisco. David takes a slider for a strike.
Their starters have pitched the most innings in the National League, but they've given up the most hits to the staff. That usually doesn't go hand in hand.
First 6 runs of the inning charged to Jake Peavy, the last one to Mike Broadway. 1-2 now to Wright with Conforto on deck. So the Mets with their biggest inning of the season and looking for more. the corner. 2-2.
What I like in this inning, though, the two, not the biggest hits, but two big hits. Conforto to left center, Cespedes to right center. Love seeing that in RBI situations. Makes it very difficult for the pitcher.
Also like Cabrera's opposite field double into the gap.
Yeah, you're right.
We're using the whole field today, the Mets, both gaps.
Which is interesting, right, for a team that's been hitting a lot of home runs.
Right.
They're not getting home run happy.
Well, they're not going to be able to keep that pace up. They will hit their fair share of home runs, but the pace that they were at was just ungodly.
And Steven Matz has done a lot of sitting around this inning, but he'll take it.
He's the only out of the inning.
2-2 to right, and David rockets one to the left for a base hit. Plawecki held up. He'll go to third and stop there. So David Wright on base for the third time tonight. Ball gets loose on the infield, but no advance. And now the Mets have the bases loaded for Conforto.
Oh, Conforto can have himself a big inning here. Nothing slider, just a little bender.
Kind of caught it off the end, but still dumped it in front of Pagan. And Dave Righetti with another trip. One by the manager and two by Righetti.
You know, this inning may never end. You know why?
Why?
Because we were talking about sending Keith home after the inning.
Exactly.
And you know, the baseball gods just don't want him to leave.
That's a hang with him right there, buddy.
Yeah. And now let's see what Conforto can do here with the bases loaded and have himself the biggest inning of his career, young career.
Well, he drove in the first run of this 7-run inning with a double to left center. That was against Jake Peavy, and now he gets a crack at Mike Broadway. Conforto, the 12th man up in this inning, still only one out. Plawecki now at third, Granderson at second, and Wright at first. And Conforto lays off the changeup. 1-0.
Fish weren't biting. 1-0. Bases loaded, in the driver's seat.
Two and 0.
This may never end.
Broadway's more like the West 4th Street Playhouse tonight.
Conforto's all set up for a smash.
All right, what am I going to do here? I got to throw up a little sinker and just hope I can get a ground ball. Can't go 3-0.
No need to even give a sign here.
Oh,
3-0.
He did go with the slider.
Oh, what are you going to do now?
Wow.
Punt.
It's got to be the loneliest feeling, right?
Gosh, do you give young Conforto a hit sign here? I think I would.
He probably did throughout his non-professional years.
That's had one grand slam this year. That was Granderson. And Conforto takes a strike. 3-1.
No change on his face. You wouldn't know he had a base hit in this inning or it struck out. Just in the moment.
Ready to go to hitting now on 3-1 with Cespedes on deck. And Conforto takes a strike with a fastball. 3-2.
It's a good pitch.
He did put it in a good spot. But young Conforto can hit that pitch. But his patience is beyond his experience. in the major leagues.
Bases loaded, 1 out, 3-2 to Conforto. And Michael cracks one into right field for a base hit. That'll bring in Plawecki. Everybody else moves up a base. Conforto moves the line with his second RBI of the inning. And it's an 8-run third inning for New York.
Another bullet off the bat of Conforto. Tried to come inside.
Threw it right down the Great White Way.
Wow.
Well, there's all kinds of sabermetrics. One of them is that Conforto has the hardest hit rate of anyone in the big leagues.
I saw that.
Over 30% and growing.
You can believe that watching him every day.
Yeah, right.
Cespedes had a 2-run single earlier in the inning. He's the 13th man up. That's biggest inning ever was 11 runs. That was in Chicago back in 2006. They're threatening for that now. And Cespedes cracks it toward the corner. It's out of here! Yoenis Cespedes with a grand slam, and the Mets have an even dozen. The biggest inning in the 55-year history of the New York Mets, and Cespedes puts on the crowning blow.
Wow.
I'm glad you were here for history, Keith.
That was very much like his pinch hit home run, Gary, the other night. Same pitch, same spot, fastball out over the plate, down. Oh, helicopter. That's what you get.
Talked about his ability to hit the bad breaking ball for power.
Well, this can maybe turn into a game now where Terry can get his irregulars in and get them some at-bats.
Duda grounds one into the shift, and Panic throws him out. That's the second out.
Well,
now when the Mets had their 11-run inning in Chicago, Cliff Floyd and Carlos Beltran hit grand slams. And now it's Cespedes who provides 4 runs with 1 swing, his 3rd career grand slam, to give the Mets the largest inning they've ever had.
Best way not to slide, Gary.
And now Neil Walker, the 15th man up in the inning. Now the grand slam by Cespedes means $2,000 for no kid hungry enough to provide 20,000 healthy meals courtesy of Citi. Good changeup by Broadway.
yeah, the horses are already out of the barn, though.
First 6 runs against Jake Peavy, the last 6 runs against Mike Broadway. Kind of performance that could close in one night.
Well, make me want to get back in the uniform.
This should end the inning. And after the Mets score 12 times, Keith can finally exit the building. Keith, go find some chicken soup and mull over a 12-run inning.
I'll turn on Howie on the way home. Thank you.
We'll see you soon. Hunter Pence leads off the 4th inning against Steven Matz, who must feel as though it's been a week and a half since he's been on the mound. 66 pitches thrown by the Giants and a 12-run Mets bottom of the 3rd, shattering the club record for runs in an inning.
That's I always love to see history. It's fantastic to be in the booth and watch that kind of stuff happen.
Well, Keith is now making the drive home. He's going to find a little medicinal relief for what is ailing him. But I'm telling you, there was some karma there. We said we were going to send Keith home after the inning, and the inning just wouldn't end.
I think he should try to redo Soul Train, be Don Cornelius with that voice he's got working now.
Shifted perfectly for Pence. Walker throws him out, 1 away. 45 minutes between pitches for Steven Matz. Let's check in with Steve Gelb. Steve?
Gary, one of the fun things we thought we could do this year is check in with different players on the team and talk about that moment when they realized that Major League Baseball was actually a real possibility. And with the game going the way it is right now, we've got some time to discuss the guy on the mound a little bit, Steven Matz, who actually has a pretty interesting story when it comes to that. Goes back to his junior year in high school when he was actually a first baseman, only pitched 15 innings his junior year of high school, but he was trying to get either a D3 or a D2 look. So he went to a showcase, and for the first time, he was clocked as a pitcher, and he came in at 87 to 89 miles per hour consistently, blew him away, and it blew a lot of people at the showcase away. They said, you need to go to a national showcase. He did that, and he was thrown in the low 90s, 91 consistently. Said overnight there were scouts in his house seemingly every night. So to go from a guy expecting that you could potentially get a D3 look to now all of a sudden being one of the top pitching prospects took a little while for it to sink in for Steven Matz.
Well, you know all about that, don't you?
I do. It's when you are a player in schoolboy ball, that's what you want to do, is you want to be that. But in today's game, if you can throw hard and you're left-handed, big time.
And Brandon Belt draws a walk. First walk given up by Matz. So you just sat in the dugout for 45 minutes. He took 1 turn at bat in that span, and now you go to the mound with a 12-run lead. How do you keep your rhythm going?
Well, there's no excuse in today's game because they're underneath the stadium, Gary, on the way to the clubhouse. They have a mound, a batting cage, a place that's warm that you can go and play a little catch if you wanted to. But if you didn't do that, what you want to do, and maybe he'll learn it over time, or maybe he does already, is when you come out, you make a real spirited 8 or 10 pitches warming up like you're in game condition. You don't go out there and just lollipop it up there. You go and say, okay, the first batter is going to be Hunter Pence. Okay, fastball away, fastball in, breaking ball, changeup. You really try to replicate what's going to happen in the game. That's the best way to get through a long wait.
Tonight, with the early rounds over, the Jets move on to the next part of their draft plan. What does Mike McCagnon have in store? Get all the questions answered as the Jets add the next pieces on Jets Nation Draft Day Special. Coverage begins tonight at midnight, only on SNY. Of course, that's if the Mets don't have a couple more 12-run innings. Otherwise, it might be a tad later.
Just some really good at bats. Some getting behind in the count by both Jake Peavy and Broadway, and they took advantage of it.
Pulled down to first, and Duda can't corral it, and the Giants have 2 men on.
Well, Lucas tried to smother that one, and it just hit off the end of his glove, and once it got through, there was no way for Lucas to get up and make a play.
By the way, in that 12-run inning, Eugenio Cespedes drove in 6 of them. It's the first time a Met has ever done that. Butch Husky had 5 RBIs in an inning.
Really? The game that Delgado drove in 9, he didn't drive in 6 in 1 inning.
Not in 1 inning. Mike Broadway will bat for himself, lays down the bunt. Small solace 2-4 on the sacrifice, moving the runners to second and third. So Broadway is going to be asked to soak up some innings here.
Yes, he is. Good bunt. You know, the best I ever saw, Gary, and I know Cespedes is bested it, but Vaughn Hayes led off a game against the Mets with a solo home run and then hit a grand slam later in that first inning, and that was some kind of start.
Now Angel Pagan hitting ninth in the order. Pagan grounded out his first time up. Well, Matz was able to scatter 5 hits over the first 3 innings and get some key outs while the game was scoreless. Now 12 runs to the good. Lined right at Walker, side retired. A bullet off the bat of Pagan, and Matz strands 2 more. 12-0 Mets in the fourth. Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Michael Broadway will have an extended run as we go to the bottom of the fourth.
You know, we just saw that super slow-mo, and I mentioned it before in passing to our younger viewers. You might not remember, but Albert Bell was just an outstanding hitter for the Orioles and the Indians, and Trevor Brown now catching. Good move by Boch to get Posey out of the game, but he was a great breaking ball hitter. Cespedes is right in his league.
As Drupal Cabrera bounces one down to Brandon Belt. One away. Cabrera was the first man Broadway faced when he came in. He was greeted on his second pitch with a double to the gap in left center, and at that point the rout was on. That made it 6-0, and the Mets would eventually score 12 runs in that third inning. Now Kevin Plawecki, who walked and scored in the third, 0 for 1 on the night. So Bruce Bochy gets Posey out of the game, because you want to never chance an injury to your superstar catcher in a lopsided game that you know you're going to lose anyway.
That's right.
Stephen Okert, who gets up in the Giants bullpen, the lefty.
Gary, with the 4-10 game tomorrow, this is how I feel. If the score remains about the same, a 12-0, 12-2, something like that. I still want my starters to play 2/3 of the game, 6 innings, and then they're out. And I would get, Wilmer Flores and Campbell and others.
Milwaukee grounds one for Crawford. 2 out. So what's the balance when you're playing in a game like this between the hitter's mantra of I don't want to give away any at bats against swing, get the game over with?
Well, I think what you think if you're on the Mets side, okay, Gary, you got 12 on the board. You know that Broadway's got to throw strikes here, so you want to be aggressive and swing. And if you get a pitch to hit, you fire. I don't think you're up there grinding every at bat like you were in the beginning of the game, certainly.
Matz flies one out to right. Pence squeezes it. Quick inning for Broadway. After 4, 12-0 Mets. Invite you to test drive a new Ford. You'll discover why Ford is the total package. It's been an historic night at Citi Field. Mets with a 12-run third inning, the biggest inning they have ever had. And now Steven Matz 3 outs away from qualifying for a win, but I would think he'd want more than that tonight.
No, I think when you're looking at how the game's going, you know that the Giants are also going to be aggressive because they figure Matz is going to be throwing a lot of strikes. You want to try to get this game into the 7th, maybe through 7. One thing at a time, though.
Third time around the batting order, Denard Span takes a fastball for a strike. Span had a base hit in the 3rd inning. The Giants have had 6 hits against Matz over the first 4 innings, but they've stranded 6, had a runner thrown out on a strike him out, throw him out double play as well. And nothing but fastballs from Matz to get ahead 0-2. While we watch Matz here, we'll also watch with interest what's going on in Minnesota tonight, because pitching for the Detroit Tigers against the Twins tonight is Michael Fulmer, who was the pitcher, the primary element in the trade the Mets made with the Tigers last summer, and went just beyond the reach of right when the Mets acquired Yoenis Cespedes. So on a night when Cespedes has set a Mets club record with 6 RBIs in an inning, the guy he was traded for, Michael Fulmer, who figures to be a big-time pitching prospect for the Tigers, is making his debut, and so far so good for Mr. Fulmer. You know, the instances are legendary of late season deals like that, yes, where a player goes to another team for a rental piece, becomes a star. John Smoltz,
Doyle Alexander,
Jeff Bagwell.
That's right.
For Larry Anderson.
Larry Anderson.
But in this case, because Cespedes did what he did last year, even if he hadn't re-signed, Even if he had only done what he did last August and September and helped the Mets get to a World Series, then whatever Michael Fulmer would have done would have made the trade worth it.
Even if he becomes John Smoltz?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And the fact that the Mets were able to get Cespedes back, even more so.
Well, I liked Fulmer's comments today. He was asked, he said, listen, I've been waiting for this. My family's been waiting for it forever. And I just hope I'm good enough to stay for a long time. I mean, very humble thoughts.
Leadoff walk to Span, second one given up by Matz.
After he was ahead of him 0-2.
And of course the other piece of the deal is, you know, if Michael Fulmer stays in the Mets organization, when does he get his chance?
Yeah. Well,
so it's you know, it was obviously best for the Mets to get Cespedes, but it was also best for Fulmer to get out of the Mets organization.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we wish him well, and so far so good.
There's Joe Panik. Panik has an infield hit and he's flying to center, 1 for 2. Duda playing behind Span with a 12-run lead.
So
and Matt's having trouble throwing strikes, and Plawecki will go out for a toss.
Well, you've noticed he's become very fidgety on the mound, almost like he's just hoping this inning gets over quickly, so he's a pitcher of record. You know, and it's just inexperience. It's it's no blame. You just got to realize that this is still a game. Throw your pitches, work on the curveball. You know, it's not all just fastballs and no pitching involved. Same as it was when you started the game.
You know, it's easy to forget because we saw Stephen pitch in the high pressure situations in the postseason. This is only his 10th major league start.
I know, he has like 70-something professional starts. So
line, David Wright makes the snag. Span gets doubled off first base. 2 down.
Well, enough blame to go around here. First, though, nice hitting by Panik. But David playing right there, and you just can't get doubled off for your Span when you're down a dozen. You know, I wonder, Gary, and this is just a thought. With all the shifting, do some of the older players have no idea where the ball is going? They're used to a ball off the bat, that being a hit? I don't know.
Well, you know how we talk about base runners needing to check where the outfielders are playing? Now you got to check for sure where the infielders are playing.
It's just a different, it's a different thing.
Matt Duffy grounds one toward the hole. Cabrera running around the backhand, and the throw right on target. He got him. Beautiful play as dribble Cabrera. He's got a lot of different ways to handle that backhand. This time he ran around it and made a perfect throw to Duda. And that gets Matz through the top of the 5th. Curtis Granderson takes ball one as we start the bottom of the 5th inning. Curtis had a walk and an RBI single and scored 2 runs all in the 3rd inning when the Mets scored all 12 of their runs. They sent 15 men to the plate.
Boy, watching Asdrubal Cabrera play shortstop is a fun thing to do. He has a great sense of self, great sense of time, great sense of how to get the ball over there and just beat the runner by a step.
Granderson lifts one foul, and that'll make it into the seats. We've seen Cabrera make backhand plays several different ways. We've seen him use the Ray Ordonez slide. We've seen him plant. But I think that's his favorite way of making that play.
Yeah, he just has a feel for the game. It's intuitive. And in today's game, you know, there's a lot of more robotic players, you know, that they can get it done, but they don't have a real feel or intuition for the game. Cabrera certainly does.
Granderson pulls one into the shift. Panic down to a knee. Almost panics, but stays calm and throws out Granderson. There's your 4th, 5th inning recap. Yoenis Cespedes did all of that damage in that 3rd inning. A 2-run single and a grand slam. First Met ever to drive in 6 runs in an inning, in the first inning in which the Mets ever scored 12 runs.
Nothing against Ford, but that's got to be the worst recap we've ever had in the history of the game. I mean, that recaps nothing of what happened in this game so far. I mean,
I think we needed a bigger screen.
Yes, we did.
David Wright's been on base 3 times already tonight. 2 walks and a single. He scored twice. Well, Mike Broadway was brought in when Jake Peavy imploded in the 3rd. He had a rougher time of it than Peavy did. Wound up being charged with 6 runs in that 12-run 3rd. But he has stayed on, and now he's retired 6 in a row since the Cespedes grand slam, which I understand counts as closing the barn door after the horse is gone. But at least he's giving the Giants the innings to protect the rest of the bullpen. Wright lifts one deep to right. Pence going back, has room. 2 out. Tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Most batters in 1 inning this season. This 3rd inning for the Mets tonight. Not the most batters the Mets have ever sent to the plate. In that 11-run inning in Chicago in '06, they had 16 batters come to the plate.
Is that the game that you were talking about,
Yeah.
with the 11 runs?
With the grand slams by Beltran and Floyd. I don't think we did that game. I think that was an ESPN Sunday
Yeah,
night.
I know I did not do that game.
Was that the same game Glavine won his 300th?
Oh, it might have
Or was
been
that a different game?
Oh, it had to be.
Because we missed that one too. Also in Chicago.
Well, you know, we got the Santana no-hitter.
Yes, we did. Still the only one.
Although I think that could change.
Conforto, a single, a double, and 2 RBIs in the big 3rd inning. He drove in the 1st and the 8th run of that inning. Good news is that the rain seems to have completely cleared out. In case you were thinking, you know, maybe we wouldn't get 5 innings in. Shallow left center, sinking fast, but Pagan gets there to make the play, and that retires the side. So Broadway has settled in to retire 8 in a row after 5, 12-0 Mets. Trevor Brown up for the first time as we start the 6th inning. Brown came on to catch after the game got out of hand, giving Buster Posey the last 5 innings off. Brown, 24 years old, out of UCLA.
Well, came to catching late, and he's gotten off to a nice quick start for these Giants. He's had a couple of big hits, including a big home run.
3 home runs through his first 28 at bats, so he's done some damage. Matt's ahead of him 1-2, and he gets him looking at a fastball. Just the 3rd strikeout of the night for Matz, who fanned 9 and 8 in his last 2 starts, respectively. So 1 out and nobody on. Now Hunter Pence, who's been up twice and grounded out both times.
The change up there to start him off. So a breaking ball to Trevor Brown to start him off, and now a change up to Pence. So including all of his pitches here. Good move by Steven.
High fastball, threw it by him.
You know, Gary, you know why you want to include all your pitches also? Is that you're probably not getting 12 points your next game. So you're going to have to use all your pitches. So you want to do that in this game here to replicate what you're going to have to do 5 days from now.
That's his next start. It'll be the final game of the homestand against the Braves on Wednesday before the Mets head to the West Coast. Just off the corner to Pence, 2-2. So we were off yesterday, so we missed the big event. Jake Arrieta allowed a run.
Yes, he did.
At Wrigley Field.
How about the first pitch hit he gave up? So that then Johnny Vandermeer out the window.
52 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings at Wrigley Field. Did not quite get the record. Ray Herbert, the early 60s White Sox. He missed the record by an inning and 2/3.
And he didn't have a quality start, too, because he only went 5 innings, which Joe Madden explained. Well, I think we leave that record to Gibby because it's more important that we have him ready for.
By the way, I seem to remember he only went 5 innings against the Mets. Of course, that wasn't a Wrigley, but you know what I mean.
That was Murph.
Line the other way, foul. And Murph had a 3-run homer in the first inning against him.
That's right. Hanging hook.
Just inside the foul pole.
That's right.
Man. And Pence takes ball 4. So there's the 3rd walk given up by Matz, who's kind of staggering his way through the latter stages of this game. After getting the huge lead, he's walked a batter in each of the subsequent innings.
Well, Jerry Blevins up in the bullpen. I was talking about him using all his pitches. Certainly not the 3-2 changeup with the 12-run lead.
So now he'll face Brandon Belt, who's been on base twice. A broken bat infield hit and a walk, and he socks one foul down the line.
See the defense all the way over, completely empty on the left side of the diamond.
Badly fooled Belt with a changeup, and it's 0-2. Watch a stylish left-hander in a Mets uniform wearing number 32, and I always go back to John Matlack, and when I think of Matlack, I think of a guy who never had a 12-0 lead.
That's right.
He always was in a 1-0, 2-1, 3-2 game.
Well, he threw a lot of shutouts himself, but you're right. He lost a lot of close games, a lot of 1-0 games, 2-1 games.
And Belt foul tips it. Plawecki hangs on. That's the 2nd out.
John had more of a herky-jerk kind of motion. Steven Matz, you would teach every left-hander to have this kind of motion. Little cutter, and that was the best one he threw all night.
And Matlack had more of a leg kick, hit the ball incredibly well. And John went on to be a pretty good pitching coach too after his career was over.
When I was in my first spring training with the Texas Rangers, he was on that team, and I'll always remember no one could have been any nicer than John Matlack was to me, and I found out from others that just a nice guy. I mean, in those days, the older players would be pretty mean to you, and you had to take it, but none of that from Matlack.
Toby Tomlinson on deck to be a pinch hitter if Crawford keeps the inning going. And he hits one toward the hole just past Cabrera. And Crawford has his second hit of the night. Hit number 7 against Mats.
Well, I think that ensures that 6 innings is where he would like to get through, because he won't see any more. Pitch count at 107 now. 17 games in 17 days. Pitchers are going to be every 5th day now.
And he'll pitch on the 5th day his next start, but it'll be a day game, so it's almost like he has 4.5 days. Tomlinson, the pinch hitter. Most pitches Steven Matz has thrown in a big league start is 110. He did that last year in his major league debut against the Reds.
So his next start will be getaway day
right
to San Diego. Okay.
Stephen Okert up in the bullpen. Looks like he'll be on in the bottom of the inning. One of 3 lefties in the Giants bullpen.
We used to always look at the schedule, and when it came out getaway day, just don't let it be Sid. I mean, to a man, we'd all say it, because Sid's games tended to last a little longer.
Tomlinson hits one weakly. Walker's there to grab it. Side retired. So Steven Matz gets through 6 scoreless innings with a huge lead. Connor Gillespie stays in it, comes in to play third base. He'll hit third. Kelby Tomlinson, who pinch hit, stays in at shortstop, and the new Giant pitcher is Stephen Okert, making his 5th big league appearance.
Yeah, drafted in the 4th round by the Giants in the 2012 draft. Only 24 years old for this young left-hander getting a chance to pitch here in the Big Apple.
He's a Sooner from the University of Oklahoma. Cespedes has been a boomer tonight. So Boomer versus Sooner.
Very good.
Cespedes 6 RBIs in the 3rd inning, a 2-run single that made it 3-0, and a grand slam that capped the 12-run inning. First Met ever to drive in 6 runs in 1 inning. And now facing the lefty Stephen Okert. He takes his big cut.
Little breaking ball by a Broadway that just stayed on the inside part of the plate. And this ballpark, big, but not big enough for Cespedes.
Broadway went 3 innings in relief, gave up 6 runs and 5 hits, but at least soaked up a couple more after that monstrous 3rd inning. Grounded down to 3rd. Gillespie with his first chance, and he throws out Cespedes, 1 away.
Well, Gary, I want to say to you, happy birthday. In season, happy birthday. I got some cake here. It's awesome.
Yes, that's courtesy of my wife, Lynn.
She's the best.
And, you know, I guess I'll always remember the date of the 12-run inning.
Oh, that's right, on your birthday. And there's genius on this day because Jerry Seinfeld's also celebrating his birthday. Awesome. Way to go. Congratulations, my man.
Did you leave out Michelle Pfeiffer?
Oh, well, gee, well. The birthdays aren't the same as they used to be when we first started, are they, bro?
You know, you want to slow them down a little bit.
It's really do.
But the cake is really good, so it's a nice trade-off. I told Keith I keep trying to catch him, but just not going to catch up.
No, we got to keep him ahead of us. He showed his age tonight, by the way. Not even a 5 and dive or 5 and fly. But he got 12 in the bottom of the 3rd. That's enough.
I'm telling you, he got out of here about 42 minutes later than we thought he would. 2-2 to Duda. Well, we mentioned several times about the Giants starting pitching, and you know, Jake Peavy's had 5 outings and 4 of them have been rough. You know, the last time the Giants were here, they had a kid throw a no-hitter.
That's right.
Chris Heston, he's in the minor leagues and he's pitching tonight in AAA. So it makes you wonder whether the Giants would contemplate making a move.
Well, when you have a veteran like Peavy, and especially I mentioned before, he last 14 starts last year, he was 11 and 4.
Broken bat pop-up.
And I think part of it, Gary, goes to where you are in the standings. You know, the Giants right now are tied with the Dodgers, if I'm correct. You know, if you were far behind, maybe you might think of a knee-jerk reaction and making an immediate move. But you know, you sometimes the veterans will get a little more look, especially from Bruce Bochy, who has a long history with Jake.
Here's Neil Walker, who's 2 for 3, had an RBI double in the 12-run 3rd. Now getting a chance to bat right-handed for the first time tonight.
Oker throws a little bit like James Russell. A little 3/4. Throws a little harder than James.
Walker pops one up. Another chance for Panic. Side retired. So the Giants bullpen's retired 11 straight. A little too late.
more cake. No, for new challengers. Think you can beat them at Mets Trivia? Audition for the next Beat the Booth from home. For details on how to video audition online for Beat the Booth, check out sny.tv today.
Jerry Blevins in to pitch in the 7th. Angel Pagan leads off for the Giants.
You were mentioning that Blevins hasn't pitched since Sunday in Atlanta as Juan Lagares comes in to take Cespedes' spot. See his numbers this year. This is a good time for Blevins to get a nice clean inning.
You find it somewhat ironic that he hasn't allowed a hit to a right-hand hitter this year, as Pagan made a little late move to get out of the way.
Well, Blevins, it's interesting. When he first came here last season, we thought we'd only see him for a third of an out a game, you know, against the Harpers and the Freemans. But the way the bullpen has been formed now and the way it's kind of evolving or morphing, he's more of an inning guy now. And he's got a good changeup to go with that curveball and cutter. So he can pitch to both sides of the plate.
And that's really true of the entire Mets bullpen.
Yeah, it really is.
Terry, unlike past years, has really not been matching up the way he has in other seasons because he's got guys who can be crossover pitchers. It's Robles or Bastardo or anybody like that. Fouled away, 2-2 to Pagan. Let's go downstairs to Steve Gelbs, who's standing by with tonight's Mets starter.
Gary, fun night to be the Mets starting pitcher. You get a lot of run support there. And Steven, you know, for you, obviously you'll take those 12 runs any day of the week. But how difficult is that, just from a pitching standpoint, to go back on the mound after that much of a delay?
Yeah, it definitely is, especially a night like tonight, a little colder night. You get a little stiff, but I went down in the cages here, threw a little bit, and was able to stay loose. And, you know, I'll take it every time, like you said. How
much do you do that during the inning? At what point do you say to yourself, this has been long enough, I need to go out there and throw some pitches in the cage?
There's no specific number. It's just once you feel yourself getting a little tight, head into the cage, and there's got a little massage thing down there to just keep everything loose, and then I had to hit. So
when you go back out there on the mound, are you saying to yourself, you know what, I've got this cushion, let me pitch a little bit differently here and just try and pitch to contact a little more and get some quick outs?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to stay around the zone. I got away from myself a little bit there, but that's the goal. You just want to pitch the contact and, you know, make everything happen quick.
Do you think about it all as just trying to get your work into, trying some of the other pitches and making sure everything stays sharp for your next start?
No, not necessarily while I'm out there. I'm thinking in the moment there and just trying to go pitch by pitch.
Overall, Steven, after that rough first start, it's now 3 straight 6+ innings. You've only given up 2 earned runs in the last 3 starts. What's been the biggest key here for you over this last stretch?
I think it's just more of a focus. Like I said, just going pitch by pitch and not worrying about what just happened, not worrying about what's going to happen. Just focus in on that pitch in the moment, and that's it.
Finally, what is the pitch for you that you think's been working best, and what at this point are you saying to yourself, this needs a little bit more work here?
Tonight my curveball wasn't where I wanted it to be, so I would say that needs most improvement, and my changeup was pretty good for me tonight, so I'm happy with that.
Pagan just hit a home run, so that'll do it for this here with Steven Matz. Steven, we appreciate the time as always, and now let's send it back out to Gary.
All right, thanks very much, Steven. Thanks to Steven. Angel Pagan breaks up the shutout with his 2nd home run of the year as he takes Blevins deep, and now Jerry has given up a hit to a right-hand bat.
Pagan's taken the best at-bats of anyone tonight. He's hit 3 line drives, including that one over the fence.
He loves coming back here, doesn't he?
He really does. You know, that was great listening to Steven, though, talk about staying in the moment. And I think for folks at home, you know, you think of that and you say, well, that makes total sense. Why wouldn't you stay in the moment every pitch? It's hard when you're a youngster. You know, you think of results more than the immediate thing that's happening right now. You know, you envision after the game shaking hands and a victory as opposed to, boy, I've got to throw strike 1 to Denard Span. Once you get to that point, it makes it a little easier when you have the kind of stuff that this staff has.
Span hits the curveball out to center, and Lagares patrolling there. 1 out. Well, that takes us to tonight's starters, brought to you by People's United Bank. In 2 very different experiences, Matz was able to scatter 7 hits over 6 innings. Jake Peavy never really had a chance.
Well, he doesn't walk anyone, so you knew he was out of sorts when he has 5 walks. You know, Jake was trying to do what you do at later in your career, trying to use a lot of breaking pitches behind in the count. He just never could get ahead of the hitters.
Here's Joe Panik, 1 for 3 on the night, and he takes the curveball outside. So Blevins pitching for the first time in 5 days, gives up a home run to the first man to face him.
Well, if you're going to get it out of the way, this is the kind of game to get it out of the way. You know, and I don't think I know I haven't talked about the bullpen enough. And, you know, this is a different kind of game, so it's probably the improper game to talk about how good they've been. But they have been. 2.54 ERA out of that bullpen. And it seems like every night there's a different star.
I think when this year began, you looked at the Mets' overall picture and you said starting pitching, okay.
Yeah.
Lineup should be okay.
Deep.
What you were concerned about was up the middle defense with, you know, Cespedes playing center, which isn't his best position.
Yeah.
Cabrera and Walker, 2 newcomers. You didn't quite know what you were going to get. So there was a question mark there, and I think that certainly for the first month of the season, that question has been answered in the affirmative. They've been terrific. And the other question was about the bullpen, and I don't think you really knew exactly what the Mets had in front of Familia and how well Familia would bounce back after all those innings last year.
All those innings last year, you know, some of the good and bad that happened in the postseason. And let's not forget, Jay Reese had an historically great year. I mean, it was fantastic. So, you know, most people expect, well, he's just going to do it again this year. I mean, it's not that easy. But he's got some weapons down there. I think Robles has improved his slider. That's great. I think Addison Reed has improved his slider, and we're talking about a guy that knows how to save games when he was in Chicago. Bastardo brings him a nice lefty with some power himself.
Panik strokes that one to center, but right at Lagares. 2 out.
So far, and I think that
and Jim Henderson's great surprise. I mean, when you think about where he was at the beginning of the spring.
Yeah, my fault with missing Hendu, because he's been great since March 1st. He's been great, and I think that they have an opportunity to even be better. And the reason I say that is that I think this staff at some point is going to eat up more innings, so they'll have to get less outs, which always makes it a little easier on a bullpen.
2 out and nobody on. Connor Gillespie will bat for the first time. So Gillespie playing a few years ago for the White Sox.
That's right. Yeah, he was there. They thought was going to be their answer at third base. He's an interesting player in that he's always hit for average, but not a lot of power. And you know how baseball, they like to corner people to be able to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, the White Sox have a manager who was a pretty good third baseman in that regard.
More than pretty good. He was outstanding.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see when Josh Edgin is ready, and that should be, you know, in the next week or two, where he fits with this bullpen, or whether he's going to get extended time in the minor leagues when his rehab is done.
Well, you know, considering that the last time that Josh was here, he had a little bit of a struggle. I'd like to see him go to AAA, and I'm sure he wouldn't, but just see him have some innings of excellence before he comes here.
Gillespie strikes out on the curveball. So Blevins, after giving up the home run, gets the next 3. Still 12-1. Dozen runs for the Mets in the third inning. I love the music.
It's beautiful.
And the hits just kept on coming. Capped off by one huge swing by Yoenis Cespedes for a grand slam in a 12-run inning, the biggest inning in Mets history.
What'd you say, in 55 years? So, I mean, you know, you could come to games for as long as you live and never see an inning like that again.
I remember when the Mets had their first 10-run inning. That was in the late 70s as Cabrera bangs one up the middle for a base hit. First hit the Mets have had since the Cespedes grand slam in that third inning. Second hit of the night for Cabrera. And that 10-run inning stood as the Mets' largest until they tied it against the Braves in 2000. That was memorable because they were down 8-1 going to the bottom of the
comeback,
eighth.
Right?
Scored 10 runs in the bottom of the eighth. Piazza hit a 3-run homer to cap that inning. And then that stood until 2006 when they had that 11-run inning in Chicago. And that brings us to the Mets box score presented by Jeep. Cespedes had the biggest piece of that 12-run inning, driving in half the runs.
And Conforto keeps on trucking.
Lecky shoots one foul.
I always laugh whenever you talk about, I always call that my dark period because I didn't watch a lot of games then. But every time you talk about those great moments in the late 90s, 2000, Mike is always at the center of the big hit or.
I mean, you know, Piazza's going in the Hall of Fame this summer. It's a huge year for him. And, you know, careers get defined by numbers. But having watched him over the course of his Mets career, I think more about moments.
Yes.
That's drilled to left field. Back goes Pagan. It's over his head and up against the wall. Cabrera to third. Polecki will use his discretion and hold at first base with a long single.
Well, we saw the other night Plawecki hit 2 balls hard, one for a base hit, one that was robbed by Billy Hamilton. So every game mixing in a hard hit ball. This one I thought was going to be a double, but Angel played it nicely off a field he knows a lot about.
Here's Juan Lagares up for the first time. Came in on the double switch last inning, hitting 9th in the order, 1st and 3rd and nobody out. I mean, Mike had so many special moments as a Met, but there are certain ones that stand out. The home runs against Clemens, which led to the you know, the bat throwing in the World Series. There was one that he hit against Trevor Hoffman to win a game at Shea when the Padres had not lost a lead after 8 in like 100 and some odd games in a row. The one he hit against Smoltz in Game 6 of the League Championship Series, when the Mets had been down 5-0 and they were fighting for their lives. He had a game-tying home run, and Smoltz came out of the bullpen. And, you know, and they just, the one he hit against Billy Wagner in Houston late in the '98 season, when the Astros were fighting for a postseason berth, and he tied up the game in the 9th inning against Wagner when nobody hit Wagner. There's a strike, 3-1.
There's no clutch, you know, in baseball. No, he was. The great players just, I don't know if they turn it up a notch or they just remain the same while everything else around them runs amok. You know, they just be, you know, let their greatness shine.
That's line, a base hit for Lagares, and that'll bring in another run. Cabrera trots in. 3 straight hits for the Mets to start the bottom of the 7th, and it's now 13-1.
Well, that's good for Juan. You know, coming in defensively in a game that's out of control, and he comes in and keeps his wits about him, stays back on a breaking ball, and he gets himself a knock. Pretty good pitch from Oakland, but better swing by Lagares.
So now Curtis Granderson is 1 for 3 and a walk tonight.
Just trying to think who Oakland throws like a little bit. You know who he throws like? A lefty that did a lot of great pitching for this team, Jeremy Affeldt.
Verizon trivia question for tonight. Which 3 pitchers have had 100 or more strikeouts as a Giant against the Mets?
That's a good question.
Well, the one guy in the 60s, right?
Yes. Marichal.
Right.
I also think one of the guys is in the ballpark right next to us. He has a chance, right?
Kruko?
Maybe.
He has a lot of wins against the Mets.
20-something wins.
Yeah.
Right? Well, not all with the Giants, though, right? His wins?
Not all of them.
Yeah. Because he was with the
Substantial
Cubs.
number, right? I mean, Lincecum or Kane, one of those guys could certainly be on the list. But all those great Giant pitchers when Roger Craig was the pitching coach.
But
Gereltz and all those guys, but I don't know how many starts they had.
yeah, Gereltz was more of the bullpen, and the guys that they had starting in those, Mike Lacoste and others, you know, weren't really, Dave Dravecky, weren't really strikeout pitchers.
3-2 to Granderson with nobody out. David Wright on deck. And he struck him out. That's the first out of the inning. The only guy I'm sure about is Marichal.
Yeah.
Mike Kruko is on the left there along with Dwayne Kuiper in the Giants booth.
There's the 2 Ks. If you ever have a chance, folks, you got to listen to those guys. What a broadcast. Just outstanding. They're good buddies, so that comes across. Real knowledgeable, and they have a blast.
Kruko has a little bit of Dennis Eckersley in him.
Big time.
In that he has a language that you have to kind of listen to, you know, to fully grasp.
Yeah, he has like Kruko speak. I love it. And you listen to him occasionally, and he's such a cool kind of dude. But occasionally, if he gets mad as an opposing player, you'll hear him say, like, "Sit down, meat." Like you got to know what he means.
So Mike Kruko in his career against the Mets, 44 games, 39 starts. He was 22-7.
Wow.
I mean, he just had to toss his glove out there. 1-2 to David Wright, who's 1 for 2 with a pair of walks tonight. So he had 22 wins against the Mets. His next most against any team was 13 against the Dodgers. He's like Randy Tomlin was with the Pirates in the early 90s, although Tomlin didn't have nearly as distinguished a career. Wright is out on strikes, so back-to-back strikeouts for Oakert. So let's answer our Verizon trivia question.
I'm going to still stay with Krug with 39 starts. Come on, Krug. Marichal, Kruko.
Nope.
No. Wow.
Perry.
How can we not get the Lord?
Missed the Hall of Fame. Bob Bolin. You know, 1968, the year of the pitcher.
Yeah.
A lot of pitchers had great years. Denny McClain and Bob Gibson and Louis Tiant. But look at the numbers for Bob Bolin in 1968.
Okay, I will.
Kruko, by the way, had 84 against the Mets as a Giant, 168 for his career.
I'm going to have to get on him about that. That's weak to win that many games, not have 100 Ks.
So Bob Bolin, 1968, had a 1.99 ERA, a WHIP of 0.98.
Wow.
He only went 10-5 that year because the Giants weren't very good. Conforto hits a rocket right at Panic on a couple of hops, and that retires the side, but the Mets tack on a run. Yeah, fun at the ballpark tonight when your team's up by a dozen. Changes as we go to the 8th. Eric Campbell comes in to play left field as Michael Conforto comes out. Logan Verrett will pitch.
Versatile Verrett. He can pitch if it's a 1-run game, and he can pitch if it's a 12-run game. But he's done a great job out of that bullpen also.
Got a couple of victories in the series against the Reds Monday and Tuesday. Became the first Met to get wins on back-to-back days since Joe Smith back in 2008.
I do have to say, Joe Smith was one of my favorite Mets. Just an outstanding guy. Every time I see him in Los Angeles with the Angels, if I'm doing a game out there, he comes over and he talks, and he's just really engaging, great young kid.
Trevor Brown up for the second time, took over for Buster Posey behind the plate. So Jerry Blevins worked an inning in relief, allowed the home run to Angel Pagan that broke up the shutout.
Oh, there's a nice shot of our cameraman in center field.
You ever try that? Running camera?
I have. It's
really hard.
Unless you're at the camera that Al has.
Well,
that's easy there.
He doesn't have to do
anything. But all the other ones are very difficult.
Well, Al doesn't do anything. He just stands there and takes the same shot for 9 innings.
Well, it's hard to take different shots when your hands are full of edible products.
You mean like gummy bears, Swedish fish? There's Al in front of our booth.
Hey, listen, we make fun of him. No one loves Al more than us. The best.
Cabrera on the backhand and the quick toss off the bag. Duda slaps the tag on Brown for the first out.
Is that the first errant throw I've seen from Cabrera? I've missed a couple games now.
He's had a couple that have been offline, but he had plenty of time. Duda had plenty of time to adjust and make the play. By the way, we said we'd keep an eye on Michael Fulmer, making his major league debut for the Tigers tonight. He's through 5 innings. He's allowed 2 runs, 7 hits, has a 4-2 lead in Minnesota. Slowly hit down to third. And David Wright makes a low throw, and Duda can't handle this one. Survives the meeting with Penza, comes off the bag, but they say he had not made any move to make a turn, and so he is safe.
Well, David doesn't rush this throw. He just doesn't get anything on it. And a tough bounce, and Duda tries to make the play. Penza's not a small man now. Penza's 6'4", 200 pounds, and he ran into the wall of Duda.
Like Wall of Voodoo. Right? Mexican radio, Wall of Voodoo?
Exactly. Zappa. Almost got zapped.
So they're going to score that error on David Wright. A 1-out base runner. Brandon Belt takes a strike. Gregor Blanco, the last man left on the Giants bench, is out on deck to pinch hit. Third error of the year for David Wright. Drive around the majors presented by Chevy. Matt Caesar a grand slam in the bottom of the 8th as the Cubs beat the Braves this afternoon. We told you about Michael Fulmer's debut. Juan Nicasio pitched well for the Pirates tonight as they beat the Reds. Not pictured there, Adam Conley for the Marlins as a no-hitter through 5 innings against Milwaukee.
Wow. The lefty, right?
Yep. Marlins playing wonderfully right now. Of course, this is their first game now since finding out that they'd be without D. Gordon for 80 games.
Who's going to play most of the time? Dietrich?
I would think Derek Dietrich. Maybe they slide Prado over there a little bit.
Yeah, okay. All right.
They still have Donovan Solano, right?
Yeah, in their farm system.
Lucky. I'm going to dig down in the dirt.
Always have to think, because Jonathan's the catcher, right. Donovan's the second baseman.
I think they're both with the Marlins now, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, give the Marlins credit. Forget about the Gordon suspension. To go to L.A. and sweep 4 games from the Dodgers.
Yeah.
That was big time.
Well, they hung a 7 mark on Kershaw, right?
Right. Rallied late to win last night. Actually, D. Gordon induced a balk that provided a key run in that win last night. And I guess what happened was that Gordon decided to drop his appeal of the suspension,
yes,
which I guess had been in progress for a while.
He did it after the game,
right? And that's why it was announced at 1:20 Eastern time this morning.
Yeah, because the game was 10:15 in L.A.
Lagares has this one measured, and Belt is retired, 2 out. And now Gregor Blanco will be the pinch hitter. Is that who is that in tribute to? Is that a?
I don't know.
It's got to be some kind of a Giants thing.
Yeah, definitely a Giant thing. I just don't know. Crazy.
For years, everybody was wearing the panda hats.
That's right.
When Sandoval was there.
Well, I know they're selling the kind of dread hats for when Johnny Cueto pitches now. Yeah, there's a lot of Giants fans that have made it to the ballpark tonight. You know, I mean, they've been the best the last 6 years.
Well, you still got the residue
That's
of
right.
fans from when the Giants played in New York, so you have a little bit of carryover there, and then 3 championships in the last 6 years.
This young man on the right probably was at the Polo Grounds at some point.
That's a different kind of Giants.
I would go with the extra large, just my view personally.
It's like he wandered over from the draft.
Oh, did you see that outfit? I mean, come on. Well,
I mean, if you're going to get the big money to be drafted in the first round, you can at least afford a full shirt. Lined over Duda, a base hit for Blanco. Pence will go to third. Blanco's going to try for 2, and he'll slide in safely with a double. So a pinch hit double for Gregor Blanco. And the Giants have runners at second and third.
The ball's supposed to be away. Hung on to it just a tad too long, and it drifted on down and in, which Keith has said to you folks many times. Down and in is death for the pitcher, the left-handed hitters.
So now Kelby Tomlinson will bat for the second time. Tomlinson came up as a pinch hitter in the 6th, grounded out, stayed in the game. Adam Conley is now through 6 innings with a no-hitter intact in Milwaukee. Marlins are up 5-0 in that game. Justin Bour has 2 home runs.
What's your first thought when you hear that a pitcher's got a no-hitter through 6? Your first thought?
How many pitches?
Exactly.
Good stop by Plawecki. That saves a run. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Jeep, now celebrating its 75th anniversary, a lifetime of freedom in a world of adventure.
Verrett has bounced that slider a half-dozen times, and Plawecki has been up to the task.
The answer on Adam Conley through 6 innings, 81 pitches.
That's a problem.
Well, we'll get a chance for 7 and perhaps 8. 9 could be an issue, particularly a young pitcher who they value highly.
Yeah, you'd have to have an easy 7th inning. I think that's the key.
Sonia Bastardo up in the Mets bullpen. Two-1 from Verrett, and Tomlinson goes after the fastball away. 2-2. Off the corner, full count.
Tomlinson with those glasses looks like he should be in Silicon Valley with a startup.
Three-two from Verrett, and he misses wide. Ball 4 to load the bases. So an error, a double, and a walk have filled the bases for the Giants in the top of the 8th. And Angel Pagan, who homered to break up the shutout in the 7th, will get another crack. Angel hit a home run as a right-hand batter against Jerry Blevins. Now he gets a chance to bat left-handed against Logan Verrett.
2 home runs now and 12 RBI on the season for Angel.
Both of his home runs have come batting right-handed. Brought the poncho, brought the blanket, brought the hat, brought the hood. Very well prepared. Bases loaded, 2 out, and Pagan takes a knee-high strike.
So Pagan had a lot of moments. You were talking about Piazza before, certainly not the moments that Mike had, but he had a lot of good moments as a Met. What's the one you'll remember?
Oh, that's easy. It's the walk-off home run he hit in our laps.
That's right, in the porch. I was thinking that, and then the inside the park home run to left center.
Grounds one right at Walker, and that retires the side. So Verrett gets in and out of trouble in the top of the 8th.
Nice hat.
Second game of this series, Jacob deGrom, coming off a victory in his first start back from paternity leave, will go up against Matt Cain. Our coverage begins tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 right here on SNY. And there are your city probables. Sunday's game, a marquee matchup, weather permitting. Noah Syndergaard against Madison Bumgarner, 1 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Gregor Blanco stays in the game in left field, and the veteran left-hander Javier Lopez will pitch the bottom of the 8th.
Well, 38 years old, but he's played a big part in their World Series championships, but he's having a hard time. Lefties are hitting 500 off him, but he's retired all the righties, just opposite of what usually his role is.
Eric Campbell up for the first time. Took Cespedes' spot in the batting order. Yoenis Cespedes' return to the lineup tonight merely drove in 6 runs in 1 inning. First Met ever to do that.
There's the kid. Javi Lopez, 31 appearances in the postseason.
Many of them for one batter at a time. 3-0 to Campbell. Duda and Walker to follow for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th. It's been a walkover since the 3rd when the Mets had a record-setting 12-run inning. There's a strike. Jake Peavy took it on the chin. 2 innings plus, 6 runs, 4 hits. Mike Broadway, 3 innings, 6 runs, 5 hits. Steve Oker, 2 innings, 1 run, 3 hits. It's been that kind of night for the Giants, who came in a game over 500, having just swept a series from San Diego, but it's been all Mets tonight. And there's a strike, 3-2, as the Mets are on the verge of their 7th straight win. Well, here's a 3-2, and Campbell strikes out, 1 away. The Big Poppy farewell tour got itself a rousing ovation tonight. 2-run homer off Delton Betances in the bottom of the 8th. Boston beats the Yankees 4-2.
Wow.
Here's Duda. 2 walks, a ground out and a pop up. He's 0 for 2 on the night. Red hot Phillies have the bases loaded in the bottom of the 10th against Cody Allen and the Indians, tied 3-3. So the Phillies, who've won 6 of 7, could be on the verge of another win. They've been a very nice surprise over the first month of the season.
They're playing hard for Pete Mackanin. I think the biggest, not the biggest surprise, because they do have some talented young arms, but that they're performing at such a high level here early in the season.
It'll be interesting to see how they can survive losing one of the veteran arms in that rotation, with Morton going down for the year. Duda gets jammed, and Panic makes the play. Check it, that was Gillespie, the third baseman, who made the play. 2 out. Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game. We'll have the draft news and the hockey news and maybe a little baseball too, all on Geico Sports Night tonight after the post game. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Neil Walker is 2 for 4, a single, a double. He's driven in a run. Let's have 12 hits tonight. 8 of them came in that 12-run 3rd inning.
I mean, it really felt at some point that that inning might not ever end. What do they say? Your offense is going well if you hit for a half hour. Well, they hit for 45 minutes.
Who was it who said, if you keep on hitting, you can live forever? Wilmer Flores standing on deck. He'll pinch hit if Walker keeps the inning going. Well, what did we say earlier? The Giants have won their series at Citi Field each of the last 5 years.
Right.
So the Mets trying to get the upper hand in this one.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch the matchup on Sunday because not only are both pitchers just fantastic. Bumgarner, of course, has done so much in his career, young career already. Both good hitters also.
Grounded toward the hole. Gillespie snags it and throws out Walker to end the inning. On to the ninth we go. Mets 3 outs away from a lopsided win.
Nicest man I know, Gary Apple, isn't he?
Very, very kind.
Gentlemen.
Antonio Bastardo will try and secure the final 3 outs for the Mets. Facing the top of the Giants batting order, Denard Span, who's 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. The Giants have 9 hits tonight, but they're only run on an Angel Pagan home run.
Just looking at the Mets offense, Cespedes, of course, jumps off the page. Conforto jumps off the page. And the quiet man, steady day in and day out, Cabrera. A couple more hits, a couple more runs scored, a couple RBI.
He had as big a hit as anybody did in that big inning. The 2-run double that made it 6-0. Really broke the game open. 2-1 to Span with Panic and Gillespie to follow. Steven Matz went 6, no runs, 7 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. And a chance for his 3rd straight win. If he gets the win, it certainly seems likely. Matz will be 7-1 in his major league career.
In 10 starts.
Span pops one up. Duda over near the railing. Make sure everybody stays on their feet. 2-2. Well, Adam Conley now through 7 innings with a no-hitter intact, right at 100 pitches.
Wow. So he threw 19 in the 7th. You said 81, right?
So Don Mattingly with some serious decision making,
or none at all, maybe. I don't know. You and I were talking the other day that the Chicago Cubs have a protocol now for their pitchers if they get close, what kind of game it was, how many pitches under duress, on how they're going to let their guys go if they have a no hitter in place. I think every club would behoove trying to do that themselves.
Yep. Well, especially if you have young pitchers like an Adam Conley. Probably no way he gets a chance to throw a no-hitter tonight, but we'll see. 3-2 to Span, leading off in the ninth. And ball 4. Well, for a Mets staff that has walked fewer batters than any staff in the league, that's 5 walks tonight. About the only tarnish on an otherwise spotless night for the Mets.
11 walks, I think, in the game.
Now Joe Panik, who's hit a couple of line drives his last time up, both into outs. 1 for 4 on the night. By the way, the Phillies did not score after loading the bases in the bottom of the 10th, so they're on to the 11th, 3-3 with the Indians.
So Panik was a 2011 draft pick of the San Francisco Giants. So does that tell you that he played the first game ever played in this ballpark?
With St. John's.
Yeah, St. John's Jefferson. Yeah. Okay.
Came out of John Jay High School in East Fishkill. Grew up in Hopewell Junction. Went to St. John's.
Where's that, Gary? Give me a clue. Where's Hopewell Junction?
I think that's Putnam County.
Okay.
Maybe Dutchess. Pulled down to first. Nice backhand by Duda. Out at second, and Cabrera will hold on to it. Bastardo probably wasn't going to get there. So they get the force on Span for the first out. SNY Super Slow Motion brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Well, that was a big play too in that inning. Hunter Pence ran to the place that he thought the ball was going to be, and it kind of drifted to his right and just off the end of his glove.
It was off the bat of Granderson and made it 7-0.
One reason I say that is that we always see him making great plays out there.
Panik at first with 1 out. Connor Gillespie, the batter, struck out in his only at bat in the 7th. Bastardo working for the first time since Monday night when he had his first bobble in a while. Faced 2 batters, gave up a walk and a base hit. But before that, he had really been locked in. And big 12. First time they've had to roll that out in Flushing.
I can't believe they have it. Right? And you have to take it from the final score kind of.
I wonder with the hand-operated scoreboards, will they actually have to have
like
numbers on little boards?
Like Wrigley Field?
How high do they go?
I mean, Fenway Park?
Do they have a 15, a 16, a 20?
At some point, they're writing on a piece of paper and inserting it there, right?
I mean, what's the biggest inning in Major League history? Was it 19, I think?
I don't know. Don't know that. I don't think I've ever seen a dozen runs put up in an inning. I mean, you could. The Mets next 55 years might not do that, right?
They hadn't done it in the first 54. Oh, 0-2 to Gillespie. And he pops this one up. This will stay in play for David Wright. 2 out. So the Giants are down to their final out of the night. Trevor Brown will come to bat. Brown is 0 for 2, struck out and grounded out. After coming on for Buster Posey, who left once this became a lopsided game. Terry Collins' crew on the verge of their 7th straight win. Remember last year, early in the season, the Mets had an 11-game winning streak that got them to 13-3 to start the year.
Well, like the Giants had in 2010 and really 2010 then 2012. You know, if you lost that first game, you had to face another monster the next night. And that's what the Mets have now. You know, they get the first game with their youngster Mats, and they get DeGrom coming, and then Syndergaard. Just doesn't let up for the other team.
Well, it's kind of like facing the '86 Mets. You know,
you know you're going to get a quality out and give your team a chance. That's a good thing.
The all-time record for runs in an inning is 18, but that was done in 1883. So the modern record is 17 by the Red Sox in 1953. The modern National League record is 15 by the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1952.
Wow, they came close.
So they were pretty close.
There you go. Gary, take care of those balloons.
Thank you, Juan.
Party pooper.
You guys got to figure out how to get rid of the string. I'm glad they're celebrating out in the M&M seats. And there's ball 4 to Brown. So 2 walks in the inning for Bastardo and 6 for the night for the Met pitchers.
6 for each team now, 12 total.
And so Hunter Pence will get another crack at it. Pence is 0 for 3 and a walk tonight. Survived dropping a fly ball in right field. Survived smacking into Lucas Duda at first base. And here comes another balloon. Nice shot, guys. I mean, where did that balloon come from that it's sailing down the Nikon sign in center field? And now it's in shallow right center. I think we can ignore it and play around it, don't you?
Yeah, make it an obstacle. If there's a fly ball to right, see if you can break it and catch it at the same time.
You know, there was a time until the 1940s where fielders would leave their gloves on the field.
That's right.
And somehow the fielders were able to work their way around it. Oh, good. The Hunter Pence signs are back.
He double dips.
That's an imaginary friend.
Uses a nightlight.
Nice.
Doesn't everyone?
0-2. And did he go? He did not. And we still play on. Marlins were just retired in the top of the 8th, so we'll see who takes the mound for them in the bottom of the 8th with Adam Conley working on a no-hitter. 1-2 to Hunter Pence, and Conley is still in there. One-two from Bastardo, and Pence keeps it alive.
On a day when all of the talk was about their suspended second baseman, Mr. Conley's trying to change the dialogue.
Remember also that they played a late game in LA last night and flew to Milwaukee, 2 time zones away, which is another thing baseball has to work on. The schedule is just outrageous and getting worse every year.
It is.
Now the 1-2, and Pence takes away 2-2. Who did I see played a night game, traveled 2 time zones, and played a day game?
It's gross what they're doing to the players.
Ridiculous.
I mean, I'm tired, and all I got to do is put the right tie on. You know, at some point.
2-2 to Hunter Pence. And he struck him out, and the ball game is over. Antonio Bastardo gets the final out on an historic night for the Mets as they put up their first ever 12-run inning, with Yoenis Cespedes driving in half the runs in that 12-run third, and the Mets walk past the Giants 13-1.
Well, one of the most impressive innings I've ever seen as a player or a broadcaster. 6 runs driven in by Cespedes, including that grand slam home run. Conforto again with a double and a couple of RBIs, and Asdrubal Cabrera, 2 hits, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBI.
So the Mets have now won 7 in a row, 12 of their last 14. They improved to 14-7 on the season as they grab the first game of the series from the Giants. Here's tonight's game summary presented by Jeep. Yoenis Cespedes returned to the lineup with authority tonight. His 3rd career grand slam, capping that 12-run inning, the biggest inning in franchise history. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Katz Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwellhealth.com/KIWH. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $35,000. Steven Matz, 6 scoreless innings for the win, and the Bats did the rest. And Hunter Pence still has friends. 13-1 Mets win it. More coming up.